Mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't
Crossover. Oh, killer crossover. Just crossover. It just crossed him over nastily. Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
Time for the crossover, powered by Everlow Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlowconcrete.com. How much time will you guys invest today in breaking down the SNL crossover draft that you guys had a banger of a time with yesterday?
Yeah.
Are you over that? You've already.
Can you get it together? Like we've been doing this for so long. Like the echo every time. Like, geez.
All right.
Wow.
I mean, just he keeps. Nothing hurts me more than making the same mistake 4 times.
Well, guess what? Nobody would have known it unless you said anything.
We could all hear it booming off the microphone. Happer.
No, nobody could hear that.
My voice sounded really good coming out of your computer.
Yeah.
I don't know how much time. Many opinions from many people.
Yes, there were
many opinions.
I'm gonna tell you something right now.
Good segment.
You got shafted.
What do you mean, shafted?
I think
I
you
was
had,
in charge of my own fate.
You had the best team by far, and I had no clue.
It felt like one of those things where a lot of people understood that I did have a really good draft, but nobody was willing to say it.
Yeah.
Obviously, John took the route of he was going to always get the most votes because he is
a panderer. He just panders. That's all he does. He just I'm going to take Murphy and Belushi and Carvey and Murray and
then Josh Odson was in a really good position because he got the best of whatever was left, and he got to make fun of us. Wow, these guys didn't get taken. Okay,
Rock, nice.
Yeah, Josh, I thought you had one hell of a start to go with Farrell, Hader, Polar, and Wig.
Well, that was Josh Peterson.
My bad.
I did one with the leftovers, and I was really pleased with my cast. Yeah.
So can we talk about one person specifically?
Yeah.
I thought Jimmy Fallon was funny on SNL. Obviously, Jimmy Fallon is no longer funny.
Yeah.
He's not funny anymore. But he was funny on SNL. And I feel like people saw Jimmy Fallon as like, I hate Jimmy Fallon. I hate you. No, it's like you loved Jimmy Fallon in 2005.
You did, but yeah, you're right. On his show, you're probably like,
But he's a guy who his SNL run has aged poorly because the most iconic Jimmy Fallon moments are him breaking,
absolutely,
and laughing,
which is what I love. I love when that happens,
and I think it's great too. But there are people now who have that bias against Jimmy Fallon, who then look at the old clips and they go, "Oh, what an unprofessional piece of crap!" That he's not respecting the other actors by keeping it together during this program. While at the time it was funny as hell.
I imagine Fever Pitch, Taxi.
Hey! You watch it on Fever Pitch.
A lot of those other
Fever Pitch is good.
He doesn't have a movie.
Pitch is an incredible movie.
I'm with you. Fever Pitch is.
I enjoyed
awesome.
Fever Pitch.
I think Fever Pitch is a fine movie.
That scene where they're picking out the tickets, where it's tickets day.
The draft.
What is that? I say this all the time. That's devilry dancing. I need some Yankee dancing.
And they throw a shot at the Royals in there too. I believe it's like, yeah, okay, I'll see you when Kansas City comes to town.
yeah.
It's amazing how many people you forget were on SNL.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Like even if for briefly for a year or two that had amazing careers. Like I don't immediately think of Chris Rock on SNL.
No.
But Chris Rock had a nice little short run on
Yeah.
SNL. Or you have longer runs. Like Kenan Thompson is 17 years?
yeah.
Which is unreal.
Long time.
Usually you get going, you get your name, you go make a movie, you get on a series, and you're gone.
Keenan's cool. He's like, I'm chilling.
Keenan is a little bit. He's got that mid-major coach success, as in like, why would I ever leave? Like I'm never gonna get fired. Like I'm having a great time here. The expectations aren't too high. They'll build the statue. Like why do I need to go to bigger and better things? He's like a really good coordinator in the NFL. Like why give myself the stress of being an NFL head coach?
He's Chris Collins.
He's gotta. No, I didn't say it. I didn't
Chris
say
Collins.
anything.
Chris
I didn't
Collins
say
is
it.
the safest college basketball coach in America.
Yeah. And he's Steve Spagnuolo. Like he is really, really good at doing his one thing. And like no one can take that away from him.
Spags is gonna go to the Hall of Fame.
And Keenan is going to the SNL Hall of Fame.
Okay, I thought we were
That's
still
what
talking
I'm
about Chris
saying.
Collins.
No,
Chris Collins is going to a Hall of Fame of nothing.
They're going to build a statue of him.
That is ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous. The team did not go to one NCAA tournament before he showed up. They've been to 3, and they've won in the first round every single time. And if it weren't for that damn Zach Collins putting his hand through the hoop, they would have beaten Gonzaga.
Speaking of Northwestern, I saw Julia Louis-Dreyfus about 3 times this weekend, and
I
each
know.
time went, "Oh yeah, she was in the cast."
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
One year, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, she existed. I forgot you, Louis.
Robert Downey Jr. in the
Yeah.
SNL cast.
He was like, so when they did the SNL 40, they ranked all of the cast members. They ranked and this was, I don't know what magazine did it, but they ranked every single one of them. He came in last.
last.
He came in dead.
Wow.
Even
last.
Anthony Michael Hall beat him.
Yeah.
Hey, so she went straight from SNL to Seinfeld. Right?
Yeah.
That's a nice little transition.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She had it.
I
Figured
want to
out.
shout out you too, Connor, for what I think was the pick of the draft. Can you guess which of your picks do I think was the pick of the draft?
I think you probably love Kate McKinnon.
No.
Oh.
The one above that. I think Fred Armisen.
Fred
In
Armisen.
round 6. Fred Armisen's run on SNL, not only just as an actor, but also as like a writer, does not get talked about enough how great he was.
Let's talk about it.
And he just got a lot of really good segments. I mean, he was in a lot with Hader, and then Ay, Dios mío.
Oh yeah.
Like
No,
there's he's got classics.
it was good value at the end of the draft.
It
I
was
thought.
incredible. It's the best value of the entire draft.
And then I love Gosling, so I had to pick Gosling.
yeah, that was a really weird.
I love Gosling.
He
I
does.
think
That's his
that
guy.
I think that
I had
cost
to-
you.
I could have picked Justin Timberlake there, but I love Ryan Gosling.
I get
And
Ryan
then I really
Gosling
didn't know what I was trying to do with my musical guest. I thought it was stupid that we even had a musical guest included. So I was like, I don't know, Sabrina Carpenter. That's cool. She's good. People like her, right?
I think
Not the old people who are voting on this
Are the
poll.
Strokes that good to be put
That's
on
just
this?
a Nick thing.
That's just
Yeah.
Nick likes the Strokes, so
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Barry ended too soon. I'm a big Bill Hader fan.
buddy.
I thought it ended too soon.
Yeah, I like that show.
Yeah.
Is he
I
on
was-
anything right now?
No, he's been talking about how
he was
right?
filming something. That's why he wasn't.
That's why I wasn't there.
Yeah.
he also has been talking about how SNL like stressed him out.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I imagine it would.
yeah. But you wouldn't really get that from his sketches. He was always so good.
But I could see where that's like that. I mean, it's amazing you've been on the show for 17 years if you're Kenan Thompson, because they talk about Monday they meet the host. Tuesday is sketch and writing day.
Right.
Yeah.
Wednesday is like table read. Then they start rehearsing.
Yeah.
They rehearse more on Friday. They do a dry run through on Saturday. They do a full dress rehearsal, and then they do the show.
Yeah, I want to I really want to go to that is one of my bucket list things. I would love to go to a live SNL. It's so hard to get into. There's like a lottery process and all, and you have to really waste an entire day just waiting, to see if you're going to get in. But that would be awesome. Going to a live SNL, that'd be incredible.
I didn't know that John Bill Simmons Bishop liked Pearl Jam so much. That was one hell of a picture.
I think he gave. I think he was just giving a little shout out to Stibbs.
Yeah.
I think everyone threw away their music pick.
Yep.
Happer definitely did. I would never go to a. I don't know. As live SNL, that seems like a pain in the ass to go to.
I mean, it's a huge pain in the ass, but I would love to go to it.
I mean, it's so I've only seen one TV show shot and prior relationship with Mike the plumber from Desperate Housewives. We went out to California and watched him shoot Desperate Housewives.
Oh, okay.
I got my picture taken with Eva Longoria.
Hello.
Nice.
She's like 5 foot.
Eva Longoria,
but-
Livy Dunn.
So
I'm always looking for the most. No, that's
but
Penelope
watching
Cruz.
how they block it and what they shoot first,
Yeah.
like they don't go, in sequence,
Mhm.
was really odd to me.
We spent a whole day.
Are they like, hey, now you fight. Now have your cat fight.
So they were like, so when the episode aired, like what we watched was like the middle, but it was the beginning of this.
I know.
Yeah, and it was
it's-
so odd how they block things.
sure, and then
And,
cut it.
they move from set to set.
So this is probably 7-ish, maybe 8 years. I think it was 2017. We spent a day at NBC at 30 Rock or whatever, and we wanted to go to Jimmy Fallon that night.
Yeah.
Like that was the thing. So I got in the lottery for that, and you didn't know if you're going to get selected until later, but they were like, hey, you're toward the end of the list here. They have another session called it's called the monologue rehearsal. So he'll go in there in front of a live studio audience, do jokes,
Cool. Yeah.
and see what works for the show. But in the specific case of that day, he was doing a pre-recorded bit that actually he was Trump.
Yeah.
And he was doing a pre-recorded bit that was going to be on the show. So I was in the live studio audience for that. And then we went to Seth Meyers
Okay.
that night. And John Malkovich was the guest on Seth Meyers.
Awesome.
And they did this thing. I have this picture. They did this. They did a live
Give
shot
that
of
man his money.
the audience where they had like a doctor planted in the audience, and the doctor like stood up
Yeah.
and said something. And there's this picture of me in the background. I'm at the top. Yeah, I'll find it for you guys. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. But yeah, we wasted a whole day, unfortunately, in New York City
Yeah.
at that. But it was fun, and I'm glad we did.
I always tried to get into Letterman. I always put my name in
Yeah.
for the lottery.
Yep.
And then they were like, you know what? If you're going to be in New York City on a specific day, email us.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They don't respond.
No, they don't care.
Quick update on what Bill Hader is doing.
What's up with Bill Hader?
Connor, it seems as though the last Cat in the Hat movie was not deemed good enough because they are doing an upcoming animated version of the Cat in the Hat starring Bill Hader, Quinta Brunson, and Bowen Yang.
That doesn't mean that, Josh. In fact, I think it means the opposite. It was such a success that they needed to do another Cat in the Hat.
Interesting.
I love Cat in the Hat. What a movie.
Who was the cat in Hat? Was it Jim Carrey?
Mike
Myers.
Mike Myers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike Myers.
I saw
Mike
that
Myers
movie
was every
once.
character, one of those.
Were there a
situations.
number of raunchy jokes in the children's movie? Yes.
Indeed.
Yes, there were. Were there swear words in the children's movie? Yes, there were.
Indeed. God,
Why didn't they do Wayne's World the other night?
Wayne's World.
That's a great question.
Is there a beef between?
Wayne.
I
and-
think it's
and-
because the costumes would look not great on both of those.
one's
I don't
wearing
think
a-
it would hit the same.
One's wearing a Blackhawks jersey.
I mean,
You'd have to go with the T-shirt.
Mike Myers looks terrible. There, I said it.
Okay. There you go.
So they had him show up as an old woman
Instead.
in the Bronx, which
Yes.
that was actually a funny.
That was a good bit.
a
but
funny
they should have
sketch.
like. I was surprised they didn't do Church Lady.
Yeah. Well, they just did one a few weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago.
Where he was on.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
So maybe they felt, we just did one.
My biggest problem with SNL 50 was that SNL 40 was great. I was a big fan of SNL 40. I think it is one, like top to bottom, one of the better episodes of the last 15 years, right? That they've done. I was disappointed that it was literally like almost the exact same cast 10 years later.
Yeah.
Like no one had
Yeah.
elevated themselves to the point where for SNL 50, oh, this guy is here, this guy's doing that. Like it was a lot of the same actors and actresses that you saw 10 years ago. Now, granted, John Mulaney was a big part of SNL 50. He wasn't famous enough for SNL 40. You can nitpick here and there, but like for the most part, the nucleus of people that were in SNL 50 were there for SNL 40. I was a little disappointed that one, like I can't blame them because like, have there really been that many new actors and actresses on SNL that have elevated themselves to the point where they are a big deal to be in that episode? No, but I just wish there was. Like, I wish it was just a little, it reflected a little bit of the shortcomings of what the program has had over the last 10 years.
Yeah, it's definitely no longer like a launching pad.
No.
The way it used to be.
And there's,
in that way.
And like some could argue like, oh, great for Kenan Thompson. Great that he's been there for 17 years. But you could also make the opposite argument of like, hey, maybe it's time. Like maybe it's time to go and let someone else take these spots and let other people be here because, you know, for whatever reason, either you can't get jobs, what I think is highly unlikely.
Kick him off because he's not famous enough.
No, it's not him. It's not just him. There are other people who have been around for a longer time and who get a lot of the spotlight, and they don't necessarily elevate the other younger people.
Chevy
but
Chase.
like it was like a little alarming that like, wow, there's a lot of the same people in this cast doing this 10 years later, and they're all 10 years older, which means they're all, you know, they all look worse, and some of them just were terrible at acting.
Would you guys like to do a little ranker here?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Ranker, I hardly know her.
Nice.
Well played.
Thank you.
This was presented to me by one of our listeners.
I
He
can't
said, I'd
find
like
this
you guys to
picture.
discuss this on the crossover. College and pro rank the top 5 sports in Omaha.
Well, okay, hold on. Like the teams?
Nope. Just the sports. The top 5 sports in Omaha, college and pro combined.
Based on
so
what,
college football
how
could be
people
one,
feel
college
about them?
basketball, NBA, NFL. What you think are the 5 most popular sports in the city of Omaha?
So I can say college football.
Yes.
It doesn't have to
Okay.
be
Yeah,
a
it
sport
doesn't have to
that's
be Nebraska, it
played
doesn't
in
have- yeah.
Omaha. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's college football.
Football.
In Omaha?
Yeah, it's closer than you might think, though.
To college basketball?
Yes. I think that would be second.
I think college
A
basketball.
close second.
College baseball third, or would it be
Or is it college hockey?
Professional volleyball
NFL?
Is it I think
I
college
think NFL
hockey.
would be third.
Yeah.
Okay.
in front of
It is our nation's pastime.
I mean, we love college baseball in Omaha.
Yeah.
Do we?
Yes.
Do we love college baseball?
we like-
for
We
2
love
weeks?
college
Yeah.
baseball more than any other city.
We do. Well, we don't have the Hall of Fame. That's in Overland Park.
That's okay. Well, that's not okay, but that doesn't make a huge difference.
I think college baseball is in this discussion, but are we a good college baseball town, or are we just a good college World Series town?
A college World Series town. The Towel would be
great hosts.
jam-packed if we were a college baseball
Yeah.
town.
So we go college football, college basketball, NFL.
Yeah.
We got 2 more slots.
How close is it, by the way, between college football and college basketball?
I think in this town it's close.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. We love the
I
Jays
don't
and
know
the
if you were
S-
joking
Huskers.
when you said it, Connor, but I think volleyball might be in the discussion.
I wasn't joking.
Okay.
think
You want to call it college volleyball, pro volleyball, whatever.
no, those would be different.
If it's if it's volleyball,
Like college volleyball in Omaha. I mean, Creighton sells that every game. Omaha gets
So let me be the moderator here.
Sure.
I'll be the moderator because hand up, haven't been around the town long enough to have strong opinions on this. So I'll kind of play advocate here. Where does college hockey, with the fact that Omaha Mavericks is a really popular program and they've had success and a lot of people go to those games, where does that rank? Because maybe not overall they have like the biggest population of fans,
Mhm.
but there is like a big nucleus, a big core
Mhm.
group of people who enjoy that. So where does that fall within the ranking of volleyball?
it's not what it used to be.
Really?
I don't.
yeah.
I don't feel.
Like, are you saying it not like it used to be, like at the Civic, or?
I always felt like hockey burned a little hotter in this town maybe 15, 20 years ago.
At the big arena.
So are you guys
Really?
for sure?
Did you like? Hold on. You
Go
liked
ahead.
Omaha? So I loved it. The Civic.
Yeah.
I thought the
Yes.
Civic was fantastic. I thought the Chai was too big.
It was too big, but I felt like I could walk up to somebody and say something about Omaha hockey, and their eyes would not glaze over. in a
You
way
don't you
that
don't
they
feel
do
that
now.
way? You feel like it's just as hot
I
as
think
it
when
was?
they were at the Civic and got started because it was unique, it was huge.
Yeah.
And then also remember,
Like the
Lancers at the
Lancers
same
were
time were playing well.
huge.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, the Lancers they should fold the team or sell the team.
I don't. Yeah. What happened?
I tell you what happened with the Lancers is Exarban Coliseum.
Yeah.
That was the place. It might have been a dump, but it was perfect for the Lancers. They sold it out all the time. They were really good, and then
I used
they
to
moved
go
all over the place.
to like Exarban Knights games. I used to go to beef games.
Yeah.
At the Civic.
Yeah.
Like that stuff just does not get thought of. I don't think anymore.
No, I would put college hockey probably fifth, and I would put volleyball fourth.
So college baseball doesn't fall within your top five.
Because I just think we're a good event college World Series town.
But if you threw
Like, have you guys gotten a lot of calls about that LSU pitching staff this weekend? It was so good.
No, we have not gotten very many calls about that.
But there's other thing is,
Stay tuned for this afternoon when Nick talks about Hawaii for 3 minutes.
Yeah, we got to preview that.
Where does MLB rank in Omaha?
Ooh, that's interesting.
Because this is a good MLB town, right?
Are the Royals good?
Okay, so let's go off of last year.
Royals are in the playoffs. Storm Chasers are winning the league. That's as good as it's going to get for success.
I will say this: when I came on here in October, we spent a lot of those shows talking about the Royals. And now, granted, they were in the playoffs, right? They were having a really good season, but the fact that we were able to come on here and spent 2 back-to-back shows, and we probably spent about 2 to 3 segments on each one. The fact that there's interest in that enough to like carry that, I think speaks to when the Royals are good, that people like to listen to that. I think it's a great point though, Connor, like what happens when the Royals are bad. And I think that would be more of a reflection of, is this place a good MLB town or not?
Maybe we're not giving enough credit to the NFL too. Like you could probably make an argument for the NFL being number one.
Yeah,
you could
convince me.
Yeah,
I mean, we've got plenty of. This is a Chiefs bar, or this is a Packers bar.
Yeah,
we do have those.
Yeah,
but what do you?
It's a lot of. So Chiefs right now. Obviously, the Chiefs are really.
Here's
good.
my question here between college basketball, because we're putting college basketball 2, right, and the NFL 3.
That's how we currently have it lined up. I'm open for interpretation on all that, though.
So what do you think the impact is bigger? People who consistently go to the Chi or Baxter to watch college basketball, or people who are consistently traveling to third parties to watch their NFL team play? Like, what do you like what is more of an impact? Because, so I'm not saying, like, I don't think 17,000 people every week are, or maybe they are, going to Arrowhead or going to Green Bay or going to Colorado or going to Denver to go and see their favorite team play. But are there enough of those people who are willing to travel outside of the state to see their team play where it elevates the NFL over college basketball?
Yeah, but I don't know if it's a team specific thing with the NFL. Well, I don't know. Like, okay, so I'll take your question and I'll ask a functional, like,
go ahead.
Okay, so
that's why I'm here for.
Which day is more populated with people coming back on I-29 from Kansas City? A Sunday after the Royals game in the summer, or a Sunday after the Chiefs game?
Chiefs.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I think so too.
Well, I look at this. So, like, if you go to the grocery store on Sunday morning in this town, there are quite a few people that'll be dressed in their gear.
Yes,
definitely.
Or NFL gear.
Yes,
definitely.
But Omaha kind of shuts down on Saturdays when Nebraska's at home.
Yeah,
and when they're on the road.
I mean, obviously, way less so than Lincoln.
Yeah.
You know, like it's still a functional
Well, I look
town.
at it this way. So I've never done this, but I had friends that told me that they love when Nebraska's playing at home in Lincoln, because then they can go to the grocery store, they can go to the mall, they can get all this stuff done.
Yeah.
They'll play the game on the speaker, in the grocery store. Nobody's around. You can just go about your business.
I mean, still, traffic coming back from Lincoln on a game day to Omaha is like it's bumper to bumper the whole time. You know,
is it worth getting a hotel in Lincoln if you're traveling from Omaha? This is an honest question. Like, do some people do that where they just kind of stay in Lincoln overnight?
Well, if you want to pay a few $100 a night,
sure,
stay in Lincoln.
Well, it's one night. Yeah, I'm just asking.
I did look.
That's probably
speaking on that note, the Michigan weekend. There are some
Already
hotelers in Lincoln are going to make a mint
Yeah.
by the prices.
By the way, thoughts on this idea? Yesterday, there was this whole discussion about expanding the tournament.
Mhm.
What if Lincoln became Dayton 2, the Dayton of the West? First four, more first four, and Lincoln is the home of it.
Would there
Town
be,
that would embrace it?
Well, would there be?
They would love to get an NCAA tournament game
I'd weirdly be okay with it.
in that building.
Like, oh yeah, no, let's expand
Well,
the
you know,
tournament.
so they were. I think they made a presentation.
They made
to
a
host
bid,
first
yeah.
and second round men.
Yeah.
because they finally have enough hotels with restaurants that they can get into the mix. I think we would.
Would there be
Oh,
a first four, or would
I don't
there
know
be
what
a
it would look
first
like.
8? Like, are there going to be more play-in teams in the expansion of the
So,
tournament?
The
would-
water carrier, Seth Davis, said
Mm-mm.
that they would play 6 games.
Okay.
So they would add another.
They would add another
yes.
location. So a friend of mine, for a
Oh, this is
presentation,
That's another good one.
made a presentation as to why Lincoln should host NCAA tournament games, and actually was like a very big thing.
If you put
and
it up
ended
against some of the towns that have hosted first round games, it's not that far off. Like
Like Wichita.
like Boise,
Yeah.
you know.
you have the facilities, you have the hotels, you have the restaurants, you have parking garages that are lined up outside of Pinnacle Bank Arena. You have plenty of places
Rail yard
to
would
stay.
be pretty good for.
It'd be great. I mean, that's a perfect
Imagine
infrastructure.
that colorful mixture of all the,
I mean,
like South Dakota
when-
State shows up or something.
Now,
like that.
granted, it was much bigger, it was much larger, but outside of the Pfizer Forum, there was a similar place that had a lot of like rooftop bars and places that you can go into and hang out. And what some people would do is they would there's 2 sessions. You get session 1 and session 2. They would buy both tickets, but then they would watch one team play in session 1. Then they would go out, and during session 2, they would go and watch the second game at the bar and grill or whatever. And then for whatever game they wanted to see for session 3 or for session 2, they'd go to game 3 or game 4. Like, you could do that with the rail yard.
A couple people saying on the YouTube that Omaha's a pretty big soccer town too. Like Premier League on Sunday mornings, bars are they open up specifically
Union
for
Omaha's
that.
had a place. It'll
Yep.
get even bigger when they announce the stadium.
Yeah, I mean, not anything like it's passionate among the few, not anything like the vast majority of people you see on a college football Saturday. It's still college football, right? We do love our college basketball here. And it's funny to ask this question right now when college basketball is reaching the fever pitch. Ha!
See,
What a movie!
see, another question
Sad
though.
that we're not more of a baseball town, like pro baseball.
Yeah. No, I don't know. There are maybe some reasons why that's not as much the case.
Maybe the Royals have too much big of a presence here in Omaha. There you go.
I think another question.
Too big of a presence.
Well, I wish they would. Like, they don't do like the caravan anymore, do they?
no.
Like, they used to stop in Lincoln and Omaha. Like when you were at the ticket, you guys, because you were the affiliate of the Royals, that was like a big day. And like they'd come to Des Moines. I remember as a kid, you'd go and get the autographs. They don't do that anymore.
No.
The Twins still do it, but they've like condensed it. Like maybe the closest they come is Sioux Falls. They once went to Des Moines. But like the Royals used to just travel up I-29, come to Nebraska.
It was great. I am sad that they don't do that anymore.
Another wrinkle though that
People would show up for that if you put them at a IV or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another wrinkle you can add into this is when you're discussing how big is the NFL. I don't know how many people would really know so many teams or as many teams in the Big Ten or in college football or how they're doing and their best players as they would know about the NFL, which I think could like factor into that discussion, right? If you ask someone, hey, what do you think about, this Big Ten team, right? Hey, what do you think about Illinois football? I don't know how many people who are considered to be college football fans, just any place. This isn't just Omaha. Any place could be like, oh, they're doing this, and that. But if they were an NFL fan, you could probably ask them. You could probably ask them, oh, what do you think of this team? That's random as heck, and they could probably be like, oh, I know this player and that player, and they're not playing well.
Conference realignment.
Yeah. This is not a Big Ten town.
Nope.
This is a Nebraska, Iowa.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's
And
still
Big 12 North. I mean,
Yeah, it's still Big 12
K-State,
North town.
Kansas, Iowa State. Yeah, just not there. Not there.
I mean, most bars you go into on a Saturday that have, like the 11 a.m. BTN game that is Rutgers, Maryland.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, that's not getting on.
The KU presence in this town used to be
Rutgers,
like so strong.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's still there, but it's just quieter now because Nebraska doesn't play them in anything anymore.
No, you're absolutely right.
Well, that's why the Creighton KU basketball game was such a tough ticket.
Oh, yeah.
See, that's why, I mean, we're going to bring Mizzou back. We're going to get the Big Ten SEC game, Nebraska Mizzou.
That's what I said. That was my number one.
Let's revert back to 2007.
What I said is I have no limit to teams that I can hate. Okay, I want to hate as many teams as possible. So playing Mizzou would be great because I get to hate another team.
It's great.
Thank you.
We did this discussion about if you were a fan choosing as a fan, LSU is a runaway.
Oh, like choose your SEC home and home?
Because when this happens, you may be able to work separate negotiations.
The old scheduling alliance.
Yes. And I don't know, and again, I don't know if Nebraska will schedule for, okay, who do we match up best with? Or if they will go, you know what, let's go big because we got to have a separate TV network pick this game up.
LSU is an obvious fit because their fans would love being in Lincoln on a Saturday, and Nebraska's fans would love going to Death Valley.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And they'd be there in droves.
Runaway.
Well, I don't know that we've solved anything today.
No, but you know what? I mean, that's just like how people look at the NBA All-Star game. They have a lot of ideas.
Yeah, whatever the list is, the NBA is last.
I know. Some days that saddens me.
It's a little sad.
But we don't have, outside of Doug, we don't really have anybody that has been long time, big time in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I thought, I saw Kyrie Thomas the other day. He's getting back in shape to possibly play.
Let's go.
I'm like, you know what? He had a little spell. He didn't stick around in the NBA as long.
I thought he would, by the way.
Is Bryce in the G League right now? What's Bryce doing?
Yeah.
He was making shots in the Rising Stars game.
But it would help. Like if we had, and we're going to, like Hunter Salas is going to get drafted, probably first round. It might help a little bit if you have an Omaha kid that is playing in the NBA and not as a role player that, maybe they're the 7th or 8th man.
Yeah, or they switch teams every day.
No,
like seriously, stay on a team for a little while, see what happens.
Well, like Shireman, Shireman doesn't know if he's playing
down. Call up. Is he in Maine
or he's playing in Boston?
Right.
No, representation matters. And there would be a lot of like if there was an Omaha kid who grew up, became this great basketball player, went to a team, got drafted high, became an all-star. There would be a lot of coexisting fans with whatever team he would be on and move to.
Maybe. So now that the state of Nebraska has all these kids who are on the precipice of ending their college careers, maybe Omaha just works their way into the G League, and then they create a team of only Nebraska natives, and then they dominate.
That's very pro volleyball federation of you.
Nebraska versus the world.
I was involved in a discussion with the Nuggets of a group that had wanted to be involved. But at the time, and this is like 5-6 years ago, they were going to play Ralston Arena. Storm Chasers were going to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
It was the structure of ownership was not like it is today in the G League.
Yeah.
But they were going to. But Omaha was making a play to get a G League team. They're going to be a Nuggets affiliate.
That would have been. I don't know. That would have been cool. I don't know if anybody would have supported it, but it would have been cool.
Yeah, but what do you get? Like if you would get like what 3,000 a game. Is that good?
Well, it seems really good. Yeah.
I mean, Sioux Falls has been around forever, and they're probably $3K in the Pentagon.
Yeah.
Probably get an NBA exhibition game out of it.
Which I have to imagine is coming with Shireman. Like, is Boston going to play at the Chi here soon? Like next year?
Oh, that's good.
That's an option.
Yeah, do that.
Play the Bulls.
Well, that was the best thing about having Doug.
Yeah.
Doug could get us a NBA exhibition game.
That was awesome. I'll never forget the one that they did at PBA when it was the Nuggets and the Grizzlies, I think. And
Timberwolves, wasn't it?
It was the Bulls. Didn't the Bulls?
Well, the
play
Bulls
at
did
PBA?
one at PBA too.
Yeah, they played the.
They had like a last second shot or something.
It was a good game. Baby Jokic, like first year. It was still the
Wow.
Jokic and Nurkic thing. They still had that. And I was like, whoa, looking back, you had the MVP in your building.
Yeah, you had one of the greatest offensive players ever.
The last NBA exhibition game here in Omaha was the Bulls and the Heat.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Doug.
The only like the highest rated like box plus per minus is around like 13. The top 5 box plus per minuses in a season is around 13. Nikola Jokic has 4 of those 5 seasons. It is absolutely insane.
He's very good. He's very good. All right. See you guys.
Throw it out there.
Thank you.
That's the crossover powered by Every Level Concrete Repair in Omaha and everylevelconcrete.com. It's Tuesday. We'll start things off next.
It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620, The Zone.
All right, good morning. Welcome in. Happy Tuesday. It's the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Hodson with you. Morning, everyone. It's balmy.
Yeah, what do we got? What do we got out there?
Got -6 right now.
Yeah.
A little chilly, But we can live with it as long as you dangle out the carrot of something that starts with a 5 next week.
Yeah.
Fine by me.
And
whatever.
It isn't just one number.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got to start with a 5 and be 2 digits.
Yes.
That's a good qualifier.
Yes.
You're right, Josh. Today on the show, we will talk to our regular Tuesday guests, Allan Bell. Jacob Bigelow will join. That's the lineup powered by the Referees. John Higgins, Weather Guard. We'd love to hear from you all, 402-951-1620. On the hotline, you can call or text that number, tweet at Happer Show, at Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. If you want to throw in your opinions on yesterday's SNL draft, please feel free to do so. There was one person who tweeted in response to the list and said, what the heck? I'm trying to find it now. Like something along the lines of like, I can't believe these young people wouldn't, John wins obviously because he's old, but I can't believe these young people would just not draft any of the old people. And the people that they used were Chris Farley and Adam Sandler, who happened to be the first 2 picks in my draft. So tell us what you mean.
A lot of poor reading comprehension among the 1620 The Zone audience yesterday afternoon.
Just if you need to say Connor Happer won, say it. You don't have to say, well, John still won, but I like Connor's team better. You could just say Connor's team won.
Yeah, you don't have to put so many caveats on it.
Yeah, it's okay. Say what you mean. That's all. You can email Connor and Josh O at 1620thezone.com in the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. And we say good morning to the YouTube streamers, where Vladimir Lenin is here this morning.
I don't know that I like that, but welcome.
Say he would not support the G League team in Omaha.
Mm.
Well, we don't want your support, Vladimir Lenin. Creighton
Good take.
Is Creighton still Russian? Or
God, I hope we're done with that.
No, it was kind of funny. It was funny.
It was funny,
and then it stopped being funny.
Everyone outside of the Creighton sphere is going to look at that and go,
"What's going on here?
What's going on
hey,
there?"
Take one look outside, Josh. What do you see? I see a little Russia.
Looks a little Russian.
little Russian out there. There's no doubt about it. Did they get sun over in Russia?
I don't think they're allowed to.
We don't get that sun.
I think we've embargoed the sun from them.
Definitely not in February, that's for sure. Elsewhere on the show today, is it easier to win road games in college basketball this year? A study with the help from my dear friend Bart Torvik.
Bart Torvik.
Yes. So we'll dive into that. USC tells people the temperature. Matt Rhule sits down with Josh Pate. Had some quotes in there. We'll have a clip for you during the show and go through some of the other things that he said. Riding the Nebrasketball roller coaster, how do you feel about it? It's emotional. It's up and down. Ride the wave. So we'll discuss that during the show. The college football playoff continues to the stakeholders continue to tell you that this is happening and we're changing the playoff yet again.
It's essential.
I have thoughts on this. What's John Cook cooking? Tom Chattel checks in with John Cook. Is EJ Barthel a candidate for another job?
What? No.
I'm just saying. Might be.
I don't like that.
He's named on a list. You put a guy on a list.
It's listism.
And Joe Buck is back on baseball.
Joe Buck.
I've been wondering, why didn't they keep him a part of their baseball things on ESPN? I know he moved to ESPN, got off Fox, got off the biggest baseball games of the year in the playoffs, but Joe Buck will make his reappearance.
I'm not doing both anymore.
He's doing baseball. No, he's back.
Yeah.
He's back, which is, I think, a really good thing. Joe Buck,
it's a great thing.
One of the voices of baseball. All right, so that's the setup for the show today. We have plenty to come. Please stay warm as you can. It's chilly.
Yes.
It's chilly. Yesterday, I took my kid out into the snow and I plopped her down and took a picture.
I saw that. What was her reaction?
She seemed indifferent.
Okay.
She seemed indifferent.
Did she touch it?
I threw some stuff at her.
Okay.
Like,
whipping snowballs at your daughter. Okay.
She didn't really know what it was. so I had
Sure.
to kind of familiarize with it. It's a light powdery snow.
Mhm.
By the way, we'll discuss this when we come back on the other side. But some breaking news from Sean Callahan: Nebraska extends running back coach EJ Barthel through 2027.
Interesting.
Salary jumps from 200. So the whole one of the things behind this was, well, where's his contract? He's the one guy that we haven't heard has gotten a raise on a contract yet. It's like, oh, is he on the way out? Then he gets named on the hot board for Texas running backs coach. You're like, huh, interesting. Let's put these pieces together. Salary will reportedly, from Sean Callahan, jump from $293,000 to $450,000.
Hello.
That's a big raise, Josh.
It is. Jealous.
So we will. That is Matt Rhule's staff appeared to be finalized. Now you don't know until you know. Maybe there's something happens like 4 weeks before the season starts again. But as it stands right now, this is where Nebraska stands going into the 2025 season. We'll discuss that and plenty more coming up on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. Some stirring yesterday afternoon when Nebraska running backs coach EJ Barthel's name appeared on the Texas running back coach hot board from I think Pete Nakos yesterday. Pete Nakos, one of the On3, people who tweets out breaking news, like the
Does he make the weird graphics?
I don't know if he makes them, but he's definitely tweeted a few.
Okay.
That's for sure. He's like the Pete tweets of On3. Pete. Okay. His name is also Pete, which is kind of funny. So there's some stirring yesterday. What's going on here? Why hasn't Nebraska announced his contract? He's the one contract that they haven't announced. Nebraska's running back coach, E.J. Barthel. Is this paving the way for an exit? And I think in response to that, people were like, that wouldn't bother me that much. I have been relatively critical of Nebraska's running back situation over the last couple of years, as handled for the record by Matt Rhule, the person who makes the roster. It all comes back to him. But that's another topic. So as of a few minutes ago, Sean Callahan just tweeted this out. His contract has been announced by Nebraska. And he did make contact with Texas and Penn State for their running back coach openings this offseason. And after that interest from those schools, which are big programs, both those teams in the college football playoff this past year, it has been announced that Nebraska is increasing his salary and extending his contract from $293,550 to $450,000. This was effective now starting February 1st, so a couple weeks ago. Rob Dvorak got the same raise up to $450,000. Sean writes, the deal, which replaces Barthel's previous contract set to expire in 2024, includes performance-based bonuses tied to the program's success. Of course, a key figure in developing Nebraska's rushing attack, Barthel has coaching experience at UConn and in the NFL. He'll work with returning running back Emmett Johnson, who aims to become Nebraska's first 1,000-yard rusher since 2018. People forget that, Josh. 1,000 yards, 2018.
Been a minute.
It has.
Some might say too many minutes.
So the coaching staff, I would say too many minutes, Josh. The coaching staff seems to be set. Nebraska's highest paid assistant is their tight ends coach. I'm sure that won't trigger anybody. Marcus Satterfield making $1.4 million. Dana Holgerson at 1.2. John Butler at $1 million. And then you go down the list of the other assistant coaches on the roster. Donovan Raiola, $650.
Johnny.
Addison Williams, $625. Mike Eckler, $625. EJ Barthel, now $450. Rob Dvorak, $450. Phil Snow, associate head coach, $400,000. Terry Braden, $400,000. Tequil Shorts, $400,000. Phil Simpson, $350,000. So Nebraska, it appears, is set for their coaching staff as they lead into 2025. And we don't have to make the running back coach hot board at Nebraska, which on one hand, I am thankful for, because people would be suggesting a variety of different things that probably wouldn't happen in a million years. So we don't have to go out and find the best running back coach in the country and pay him.
Get Jerome Bettis.
Let's go get the best guy we can find and pay him $4 million to be the running back coach. Nope, we don't have to have that conversation.
You got to make Ahman Green say no.
EJ Barthel is coming back to Nebraska, but the conversation about running backs still stays the same, where Nebraska has Emmett Johnson, and really only Emmett Johnson. The rest of the scholarship players in the roster, or who are going to make the 105 for Nebraska this year, are a couple incoming freshmen and a couple redshirt freshmen. Quentin Ives got a couple carries, I think, at the bowl game, and you had heard some buzz just about him invariably throughout the season, but they lost Dante Dowdell, and now it's the Emmett Johnson show. And I think that is still a position where it's like, whoa, maybe you still need to find another guy there. But at the same time, Emmett Johnson, I think everybody's sort of looking forward to him getting the lion's share of the carries and then seeing what goes from there. It's an interesting room because outside of Emmett Johnson, there's just no carries, there's no experience or anything like that. So we'll see how Nebraska handles the position going forward, but they don't have to worry about who their running backs coach will be, as it will be EJ Barthel. As Platcat writes in, Barthel getting that Happer money.
He wishes.
Egg money.
Well, you fixed eggs.
I fixed eggs.
Yeah.
I made eggs all better.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. That's the story. You can put that running backs coach hot board back in the drawer. Remember Bill Moose's drawer, Josh?
I do remember.
Close the drawer up, lock it up, and no further conversation about who the running backs coach is going to be.
Shout out to EJ Barthel's agent for doing his job and doing it very quickly.
I found it sort of interesting, the reaction to the, he showed up on the Texas hot board. Maybe he should take that job. Interesting. So it's clear to me that people aren't huge fans of what Nebraska's done at that position over the last couple of years since Matt Rhule has been here.
But it's a chicken egg thing, Connor. You know all about eggs.
I do know about eggs.
Is the running back position underperforming because of the personnel or because of the coaching or because of the offensive line?
Well, who's in charge of the personnel?
Matt Rhule?
Matt Rhule.
Whew, nailed it.
What does Matt Rhule think about how the usage of running backs? I think he's sort of approaching it like, an NFL type of thing where we're not going to run one guy into the ground. Or like you said, Josh, is it the type of thing where they don't necessarily have one guy that they feel like they don't have Saquon Barkley where they could just hand the ball off to him a bunch of times and he's going to make something happen. Or maybe you're trying to create a situation like that this year and you've identified Emmett Johnson as your person to be able to handle that load. It's fascinating. It's interesting because we're about to find out. Like we're about to seriously find out with Emmett Johnson.
For a guy that talks as much about Christian McCaffrey as he does, and I understand those guys are unique. They're special. They're hard to find. If you find them, it is even harder to get them to come to Nebraska. But I do find it odd that he's not openly coveting a game-changing running back.
Nor did they try, to get one in the portal.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I'm missing something, unless I'm thinking of it wrong, I hope I'm not. I don't really remember Nebraska, entertaining any running back visits in the portal cycle this year. And remember, that was during the time where it's like, okay, Emmett Johnson's in the portal, he's not in the portal, and what's he want out of this situation? Then Dowdell leaves. Like, obviously, you have to keep Emmett Johnson happy as well. But Nebraska has the future of the position that they have to worry about. Like, they have to develop a guy who, at some point, they feel like is going to be a game changer for them. The position needs it. The offense needs it. I think Dana Holgorsen thinks that, and so maybe they felt like in the extended look in the sort of tryout under Dana Holgorsen last year that Emmett Johnson, all right, that's good, and this will be the guy moving forward. But it's certainly an interesting one moving forward. Okay, we'll come back and talk about some hoops trends. Also a piece of uniform news that I've just seen.
Oh, you haven't seen this yet?
I've just now seen this.
I'm sorry. I assumed you knew, so I didn't bring it up.
I did not know.
Okay.
Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
From the YouTube comments, Theo always keeps us surprised of the things that are happening in areas that I have blind spots to. Don't know anything about this.
Okay.
Theo writes in, what's your take on the 1620 Positive Boys initiation ritual?
I don't know what that means.
I'm trying to decipher it and think what it actually means. 1620 positive. So is he saying that we have a group, a cult almost of people at this station who are positive, and then there is an initiation ritual to be involved in that club? Theo says standing by. He's waiting. He's awaiting our answer.
As the director of audio,
Can you confirm that there is a ritual?
I hate to admit that I know nothing about this.
So you're saying you're skirting the question.
I don't know how to answer it.
There is an initiation. Is there an initiation ritual?
Is Josh Peterson tying bricks to our talent's dongs?
1620 The Zone is a hazing free station.
It better be.
But I don't know. I think there is always some light hazing when the new people come aboard.
Look at all the things we've done to Matt McMaster over the months.
Some of that he brings on himself.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know how the status of the flag in the parking lot is doing, but it's probably buried under more snow.
I believe the vagrants took it.
Really?
I don't know.
Now that's dangerous because we cannot have the vagrants with sticks.
With a flag that says Mount McMaster.
We can't.
That would be bad.
That would not be a good idea. But you are at the mercy when you talk on this radio station on the, you are responsible for your own takes. And so if you have takes that are bad, you're going to hear about it. And you're going to hear about it from the cult of positivity that we have here at 1620 The Zone.
That's right.
Mike writes in.
Hi, Mike.
The first rule of Positive Boys Club is that you don't talk about Positive Boys Club.
I would imagine it's something like that, yes.
So it makes a lot of sense for Josh to pretend like he doesn't know what's going on here.
Josh loves Fight Club.
Charles writes in, is this where you make bad food takes and then face the public backlash? Hey, basically. That's just life at 1620 The Zone.
Never had a bad food take. I wouldn't know.
You know, in some cases, your reputation precedes you. You have like one bad take that people perceive to be a bad take, or you get yelled at, or you get ganged up on. And then all of a sudden, you can't talk about food the rest of your time at 1620 The Zone without somebody saying, here goes Happer. I mean, this person, again, with a food take, with a bad food take. You guys will see the light one day. I
mean, it's really interesting that some people in the audience can't read a graphic that is put in front of them, yet you remember everyone's take about Thanksgiving food on this station year in, year out. You go, oh, I don't trust blah, blah, blah. They hate turkey or they love turkey. I can't tell.
After what he said about dogs that one time.
And he didn't draft Chris Farley.
How could he? But he did.
He did.
But he did.
First.
He did draft Chris Farley first, which I thought was a great pick.
Great pick.
I loved that pick. And then Adam Sandler.
Mm-hmm.
But the kids these days, they don't know.
They can't read.
They do not know. So I don't know that we've answered that question. Hopefully we've shed a little bit of light on the inner workings of 1620 The Zone in the Take Factory around here. Theo, I don't know if that helps you out at all, but
I can't imagine it does.
Happy to answer any specific questions that you may have about the inner workings of the Take Factory. The breaking news. Who said Omaha wasn't a baseball town? I'm going to make it one. The Kansas City Royals have announced that they will go full powder blue alternate for their Sunday alternates in 2025. Yes,
okay.
That means the blue pajama pants are back. They had mysteriously disappeared in 2024. They were gone. And then all of a sudden the Royals went to the playoffs. And now they've returned for 2025. And I believe they will wear them. I don't know if they're going to wear them on opening day, but they will wear them each Sunday home game throughout the season. And now everybody can rejoice and say, wow, look at what our guys did. They're bringing back the blue uniforms.
Wow. Okay.
We're back. Don't you think the Royals are back now? The Royals joined the club.
That's a huge part of it.
Of MLB teams who have thrown in some full powder blue uniforms. The Phillies. The Twins had some, but they quit after they did their rebrand, their weird M, which I can't answer for that. The Rangers have full powder blue alternates. The Blue Jays are fantastic.
Yep.
The Cardinals, I get what they're going for, but it doesn't exactly fit them. But a lot of people doing powder blues, and the Royals seem like an obvious addition to the club, and they are in, folks. Baseball, Josh.
I'm going to miss the powder blues by a day.
Oh, are you going to Kansas City?
Braves in town July 28th, 29th, and 30th.
July?
Yeah.
You already got that planned out?
Not officially.
July 28th, 29th, and 30th. That is a Monday through Wednesday. Well, then, and just a month after that, we'll have to make the return trip. People forget Nebraska football plays a game in Kansas City right across the parking lot just 4 weeks after that, Josh.
Now, the Monday Braves game is 1985 championship replica jersey giveaway day.
What do we think that means?
I think they're giving away a powder blue jersey.
And you're going to love it.
I am.
And you will accept it.
Absolutely. What's your size, Connor?
XL.
Okay.
Interesting. Thank you. So, yeah, a lot of trips down I-29 for Josh Hodson this upcoming year. Get ready to learn Kansas City for lunch, buddy.
I will come to you for any questions I may have.
Love it. I didn't do it. I think I only did it once last year. It was sort of disappointing how few times I was able to get down there. Okay. Anyway, that's your fake breaking news and your real breaking news here in the Connor Happer Show. Let's talk about basketball.
Hoops.
All right. So I don't know if you guys noticed this, but basically all the Big Ten road teams won this weekend.
Whoa.
It was like this crazy, crazy stretch. I mean, I think it was like 7 straight conference games that were just all won by the road team. And the thing that I had always heard in college basketball is that what, Josh? It's hard to win on the road.
Yeah.
Hey, it's hard to win on the road.
That's what all the people who cover Big Ten basketball say. Well, Josh, they're not bad. It's hard to win on the road.
It's hard to win on the road. Meanwhile, Nebraska's put together some road wins. They've won at Oregon. They've won at Washington. They've won at Northwestern. They have not won anywhere else, right? So far. They're going to have an opportunity to win at Penn State tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
They're putting together some road wins, something that they hadn't. It's been a talking point in the Nebraska program over the last couple of years. Why can't they get these road wins? Why do they look completely different on the road? So I did a little bit of a study with the help from my friends from bartorvik.com.
Wow.
Easily sortable information, all for free at your fingertips. Connor Happer here for Bart Torvik. And all of the analytics sites. Evan Maya, Ken Palm, all the analytics, Josh. I love them all. So far this season in Big Ten play,
Nerd.
There has been 132 Big Ten games. The road team has won 55 times. 55 and 77, I believe the number is for road teams in conference this year. That is a nearly 42% clip of winning by road teams. Does that sound okay to you? Does it sound like it's hard to win in the Big Ten on the road? I mean,
I would imagine that's better than most years.
4 out of every 10. Josh, you would indeed be right. Here's the context on it. Last year, there were 140 total conference games. Remember, we added 4 teams to the Big Ten this year. Thus, we've added several more games. So we'll have a larger sample size this year. And yes, maybe it will tail off at the end of the year. But it's a pretty big gap right now. Last year, there were 140 total conference games, and Big Ten teams only won 44 times in 140 tries. That is just over 31%. So there is a 10% gap. And Big Ten teams have already won 11 more times on the road this year so far than they did all of last year. And they've played less games. They've played 8 less games so far this year. The year before that, Big Ten road teams won 48 out of the 139 times on the road. That was about 35%, under 35%. So you've seen a big jump this year. Comparatively, let's go over to the Big East. And you tell me, as we've talked about over the last couple of days, the difference between the Big Ten and the Big East. So far, as of this moment in the Big East, there have been 80 games played, 80 conference games played as of this moment. 31 wins by road teams in conference in the Big East. That's just under 39%. Last year, 110 Big East games, 45 were won by road teams. That's 41%. Year before that, 110 games, 43 road games were won out of the 110, which is, 39% or just a little shy of 40%. But basically, the story in the Big East is that it's incredibly consistent. About 40% of the teams win on the road every year. There are the same. Now, I don't know if you knew this, Josh, but everybody plays everybody twice in the Big East. I
did know that.
There are 110 games every year. Now, if you go back to COVID season, it's going to be a little wonky. So I didn't make it back that far because I didn't want to see it. And the high major conference averages. So far this year, there have been 772 conference games in high major conferences, the ACC, Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12, Big East, and SEC. 282 of those games were won by the road teams, which is about 36.5%. That would be, just wanted to set that standard for the national average. So why the big jump this year for Big Ten road teams? If you've thought to yourself, man, it just seems easier to win games on the road in the Big Ten this year, you would be right.
Well, surely the bottom dwellers of the conference, the Washingtons, the Penn States, have to have a terrible home record, Connor.
Yeah, so
that's actually not it at all.
On that
I just
theory,
looked it up.
Well, the bad teams are bad every year.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's always bad teams.
Sure.
So
I mean, even Penn State has a home win against number 8 Purdue.
My theory, and it turns out. So Aaron writes in on the text line.
Hi,
he
Aaron.
says, "Oh, came in late. Just Big Ten games. It turns out that it is just a lot easier to win Big Ten road games this year. It's not necessarily just road games in college basketball. It's Big Ten road games. Josh, what has happened this year in the Big Ten?
There's a meaty middle. I don't know.
Sorry, I was fishing for. It's very open. It's a very open question. We've added 4 new idiots.
Oh yeah,
to the Big Ten.
One of those.
The Big Ten,
Washington.
The Big Ten is an idiotic conference, and it now has 18 idiots in it. They're not all idiots. Some are varying levels of idiots, but the Big Ten has undergone a lot of change over the last decade plus now, all the way back to 2011 when you had Nebraska, adding Maryland and Rutgers, the middle portion of the last decade, and now adding Washington, Oregon, USC, and UCLA. Those new teams, Washington is responsible for 6 home conference losses already. USC has 5, UCLA has 1, Oregon has 4. So it is sort of in the realm of how good you are. But those same teams are responsible for 12 road conference wins. So we're talking about -4 in the for the new teams. Is it possible, Josh? And I know we talked about this just sort of off the cuff last week when after I came back from the Iowa-Nebraska women's game, and I was like, man, I love that. They hate each other. And why do they hate each other? And we were throwing out all these theories and about the familiarity. Is it possible that the travel and the lack of familiarity in this league has been somewhat of an eraser or a refresher, like a like everybody's new. Not everybody's new, but the travel is different. The league has this new feel to it. It has turned it into more of a free-for-all. And I think this, now I haven't done the research on this, but anecdotally, I think about what's happened in college football in the last decade. Conference realignment, right? Where we're adding new schools to the Big Ten. I mean, it reflects, right? It reflects college basketball, but the conferences are different. And one of the sub-topic storylines in college football is how it seems that winning at home is not as much of a guarantee as it used to be in college football. It felt like it really used to mean something when you had that game at home. And now, as new teams have come into the league, we lack familiarity. The knowing what you're going to expect walking into an opposing venue, city, locker room, and then style of play, all of those things, it's unfamiliar. And this has led to the opposite effect that you think it might have, where, oh, maybe that gives an advantage. Maybe that equals out the advantage, like for the road teams. No, it's actually made it a little bit difficult, I think, in my opinion, just looking at the information and then trying to digest the whole thing. I think it's made it a little bit difficult for home teams to defend their home court because of the lack of familiarity, and all those things that I think go with a gigantic conference now.
More teams you add, the more random, I guess, the results probably become mathematically, right?
That's what I'm seeing.
Mhm.
That's what the information is telling us. And so I think there's some more data there as I try to make this case of all this change is bad. And I know I sound like an old man, and we're going to talk about that later with the college football playoff and stuff like that. I do. I get it. I'll be the old man. But I just feel like the more we change, the less certainty we get. And maybe that's like, that makes for a better television product. Maybe. I don't know. But it has definitely created an interesting structure in the Big Ten this year. I think, frankly, for the prospects of the NCAA tournament, it's kind of helped the Big Ten, right? Because Josh has talked about the meaty middle, but if you look at the bubble watches right now, the Big Ten teams are off it. Why? They have a couple more road wins apiece that have just been harder to come by in previous years. And it's not all going to Washington and Oregon and UCLA and USC. It's just we've thrown a huge wrench into this conference yet again for another time. And I think there is a reshuffling, and then in the coming years, sort of a resetting to happen as you gain familiarity with these teams. Or maybe you don't, because you're only playing, you're playing the entire conference once in the Big Ten, and then you're only playing the other, a quarter of the league, basically, one more time. The double plays. It's so big.
That's what they call it.
It's so big. It's too big, Josh. And so I just think this is, like, once again, it doesn't have to be the worst thing in the world, but I think the data and the evidence shows us that it is sort of reset things a little bit. It's sort of wiped the slate. It's cleared the deck on the results that we can expect. I mean, a 10% jump in road teams winning this year at this pace compared to what it was last year. And last year, it was on the low side. So you're not going to see like the 10, it's uncommon to see this big of a jump, but we've gone from way above national average for road teams winning in conference to, in a year prior to the conference expanding the way it did, we were way below national average in the Big Ten. Is there anything that tells us? I don't know. I just made the case for it. So hopefully it tells you the things that I told you, I suppose.
I mean, no one else is doing the work that you just did.
I don't know. I just heard the theory a lot, right?
Mhm.
Like I heard the theory a lot. It's like, oh, is it maybe easier to win games on the road in the Big Ten this year? And the evidence points to absolutely yes. It's true. Aaron writes in on the text line. Nebraska has 3 more losses alone than last year. That helps slash hurt. So you talk about home losses, right? So yeah, I mean, I you can't point to directly the new teams coming into the conference and winning and losing games, but I just think the wrench that is thrown into the conference as a whole, as a result of that, you're seeing a little bit of a shuffling. And yes, of course, you're always at the mercy of the quality of teams that you're going to be playing in those league in whatever league you're in. But I don't know. So there's the data. I tweeted it out last night, and I got a response from somebody in the Iowa media who was like, "Why didn't anybody tell Iowa about this?" They've won 1 game on the road in the league this year, and it was at the Rack. You should get double points for winning at the Rack.
Ouch.
I think part of the story is that the league is that the league is big, and I would say too big. And also, another part of the story is that if you keep changing it every 5 years, you're going to lack the consistency. And maybe that will lead to teams. Maybe that's part of, I mean, we talked about it a lot with Indiana this football season, Josh. What did they get? They got a tremendous break in terms of their schedule.
Avoidance.
They avoided a lot in the Big Ten this year. They had to go to play Ohio State on the road. That was their 1 game. They caught Michigan at home in a down year, but the rest of their schedule, they got lucky. So I don't think that's the last time. I don't think that's the last time that'll happen in a divisionless, gigantic, idiotic Big Ten conference. There's my case. All right, Josh, if anybody has any thoughts on that, let us know. 402-951-1620. By the way, did somebody call and say something?
No, Chris once again fixed our phone system, so I'm sure it works now.
Okay. That's good.
Yep.
I'm glad. All right, we're back with Allan Bell in a few minutes here on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
I hate this truce.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Allan Bell, the AB3, on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Well, college baseball is underway, which means Allan Bell is cooking. He's busy now. As we bring in our good friend AB, driving the line right now. AB, hello. By the way, how are you?
Hello, my friend. Doing fantastic. You doing all right?
Good. I just hope that you didn't have the under 57.5 in baseball runs for Rhode Island and William and Mary this past weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that score?
And, I did. And how insane is that? And it's like 9 degrees outside, too. And these guys are just mashing completely.
36-22. I think Rhode Island was up. Wasn't it like
somebody was up 14-2 and then got run ruled? Like they were winning by 12 runs and lost the lead.
Tough.
Yeah, things are tough when you score 14 runs in 3 innings and you end up run ruled. We got a problem in the pitching and the bullpen.
Yeah, you may have ran out of pitching. Yeah, which is a common thing. Okay, so now we get into this a little bit. You're gonna see this, especially in the early weekends of the season where teams are playing 4 and 5 games in a row, and they're just starting, and guys are throwing 2 and 3 innings at a time, and they're on pitch counts and stuff like this. Have we seen this through one weekend of college baseball so far? What do you like? What do you not like?
Yeah, we have, right? And it goes a lot of different ways because not only of what you just said, but we also have teams that are playing, like Vanderbilt today is playing their 5th game in a row. Right? They played 3 straight out in Arizona, and then they fly back yesterday and play Air Force here in Nashville and play them again today. Right? So it's like not only do you kind of run out of guys, but you're also not throwing like starters and everybody very long either. You know what I mean? Right. So you're getting young guys that are getting work. Yeah, it's all over the board, man. Like that's the most difficult part is that right now, understand that good bets can not hit. Right? Like that's terrible English, but like that, it's the truth, man. Like I'll say yesterday, right? Like I had Nebraska on the money line against Grand Canyon. Now Grand Canyon's a good baseball team, but you just don't, like you get past the 5th inning and Nebraska, not saying that like they didn't care, but it's also like, hey, let's not just destroy everyone on the first week. Like let's get some young guys in. So, just be careful.
Yep. They had their starter, I think, through 6 innings yesterday. And then it was like, all right, how are we going to piece together these last 3?
It was their 4th game in a row, too.
Yeah. Which is a smart way to go about it. You know what I mean? It's like they didn't make any bad decisions or bad play. It's just that's what you're going to get the first month.
Also, weather. So I know you guys do this for Major League Baseball games. You're in tune with the humidity and ball flight and stuff like that. How much impact will weather have in the first couple weeks of the college baseball season?
Oh, huge. I mean, not only is there zero humidity everywhere, right? But you've got just really cold temperatures, man. And we've all played baseball. It's not easy, to hit when it's cold. And the ball travels less, meaning that you've got outfielders that can cheat in. So it makes, hitting, and we're not even talking about home runs per se. Like when you've got outfielders that can cheat in, it's harder to get singles, right? Like, you rip a line drive over shortstop or, second base's head or whatever. Well, if you've got the left or right fielder that's playing essentially right behind the guy, well, now that's a fly out or a line out. You know what I mean? So, yeah, like it's difficult. But then again, it's tough for pitchers too, especially when they're throwing into the wind.
Let me ask you something, AB. So this past weekend, was it maybe the biggest college basketball game of the season with Auburn and Alabama getting together? Auburn's a national championship favorite at this point. Alabama is certainly one of them. They're in the top 4 of national championship favorites right now as I'm looking at it, as are many of the SEC that is in the top 10. What is the culture, the basketball environment like in SEC country? We know what it's like for football. Is it the same type of fervor for a huge weekend basketball game between a couple of the top teams in the country?
Yeah, well, let me say this: it is, but it's not. All right, so like forever, like this is new that the SEC has
Yes.
like so many good like it is, right? Like forever it was Kentucky. You know what I mean? Like Kentucky was, the heel, and everybody was like just happy if you beat Kentucky. And then Florida stepped up, with Billy Donovan in the years that they had. So now, like it's super exciting because SEC fans will show up and get drunk, you know what I mean, and go to the game, which is awesome, right? But no, like it's not like football for sure. It's exciting, but I think a lot of teams, and I'll give you a perfect example, like Tennessee, right? Like ever since Rick Barnes got here, ever since Bruce Pearl was at Tennessee, like games would sell out for sure. And Rick Barnes has won a lot of games, but I think a lot of Tennessee fans, if you ask them, they're like, well, we'll go to the tournament. We might make the second weekend, and that's probably it. And quite frankly, that probably is it, right? So you've got a lot of pretty good teams, but as for an actual, like, national champion, like, I still think it runs through the Big Ten. It runs through the Big 12. Auburn could win it. I think that might be the only SEC team that can actually do it this year, if that makes sense.
Okay, so it's fascinating. So I was just going to ask you, right now in the top, let's just do the top 8 in national championship odds. Auburn is in the top 8. Alabama's in the top 8. Florida's in the top 8. Tennessee is in the top 8. Texas A&M is in the top 8 for national championship odds right now, as I'm looking at it on FanDuel. Would you now the question that people have been asking is, would you take the SEC or the field right now? Or I've even heard some asking, would you take Auburn or the field right now? It sounds like you are at this stage of the game way more of a fan of the field.
Oh yeah, the field for sure. Now look, I really do think that Auburn's probably the best team in the country, and Bruce Pearl.
Yeah,
I mean, I've been around the guy. He is absolutely tenacious.
Yeah,
right. Like,
he's crazy
in coaching. He is, and like in a good way, right? Like he knows what he's doing with it, right? Auburn could win it all. Look out for Florida. They're dangerous, but I don't know if they could do it. I mean, what does it take? 6 straight games, right? Like, in the tournament.
Yep.
I don't know if they have the consistency, but like they could beat anybody at any moment. But Tennessee's not going to do it. Texas A&M, like I think they lose to Mississippi State tonight, right? Like I don't trust them. Alabama's really good. Don't get me wrong, but like I would go with the field, and I would still look elsewhere. Like it's probably either Auburn or nobody if you look at the SEC.
Is there anything? I mean, I know you guys are on the individual, like, game by game stuff every day. Is there anything bigger picture in college basketball that you're sort of thinking about honing in as we get closer and closer to tournament time?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, man. Like, I really enjoy betting conference tournaments, right? Because once we get the seeding and we get, the looks of like, okay, which teams are really scrappy that are playing, the first day, right? Like they've had a, kind of a tough season here against, another team that's looking to really fight, to make the tournament. They know that they've got to make a run, right? Like you could use that in betting. And then also on the opposite side, man, like I'll be honest, Tennessee is a great conference tournament team to bet. Not a great NCAA tournament team to bet, but in a conference tournament, Rick Barnes usually does very, very well because he can get himself, like say one higher seed, so to say, right? To where a team like Auburn, they'll probably win at least one game, and then do they really care? You know what I mean? So I really like betting conference tournaments, man. We obviously have to wait till, the seedings and all those come out for, each conference respectively, but that's really where you can find your value because you have a really clear idea of who wants to win and who has to win. Yeah.
What else is on the board these days? Are we just locked in on college baseball right now and trying to figure that one out so far? Is there anything else going on?
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, college basketball for sure. Like we get some really big games that have been going on the last couple of days, right? Like we had Arizona and Houston tonight. We've got Purdue, Michigan State. I'll be honest with you, man. Like I have been betting the underdogs in these big games, and and they've been winning outright. You know what I mean? Like, I'm on Purdue plus 3.5 tonight, and that's no slight against Michigan State. But these underdogs, man, like, they're usually tight spreads, and they've been rolling pretty hard.
So we were just talking about road teams in the Big Ten. So road teams this year in the Big Ten are winning, just in conference play, are winning at a little above 40% when it compared to past year. I mean, last year it was just a little over 30%. I mean, it's a pretty big jump, and we were talking about all the new things that are in the conference this year. But I think you're onto something there with these road teams might not be a bad bet in the league going forward to finish out conference play here.
Completely agree. You know who is a great road team, and they're not underdogs generally, but Duke. Duke's better on the road than they are at home, man. Like, they are blasting people when they're on the road, and they did it, last night, man, like against Virginia. Like, these road teams, there's something weird about it. I know that they're not in the Big Ten, right? But yeah, man, like, there's something with road teams for sure, and especially when you get them plus points. Auburn, against Alabama last weekend, man, like they're playing out really nicely right now.
No doubt. All right, AB, appreciate it as always. Thanks for stopping by. I'm excited for the next couple weeks as we get closer to the tournament.
Me too, my man. Yeah, I'll be good. Thank you, buddy.
That's Allan Bell. You can find his stuff driving the line at Allan G. Bell. The G stands for
good.
Are you sure it doesn't stand for good?
No, Allan Bell is not.
Allan Bell is good.
No, Allan Bell is great.
That's you, Josh Hodson.
I would never.
I was looking at the odds. So tell me if anything trips your trigger here, Josh.
Okay.
To reach NCAA men's Final Four. All right.
Okay.
There are two teams that are minus, you gotta pay the juice a little bit. Auburn is a 150 minus 150 underdog, or a favorite, to make the Final Four. 150, which with those odds, like, I wish I could bet a team to not make the Final Four, but I don't think they'd put that out there. Duke 115, and then you go to the pluses. So a lot of SEC. Alabama plus 165, Houston plus 165, Florida plus 180, Tennessee plus 340, Iowa State 390, Texas A&M 600. So there's a gap there. And then I'm looking down, thinking about Big East and Big Ten teams. Grade these teams' Final Four chances. St. John's plus 750 to make the Final Four. I got to be honest with you. I just don't see that.
No.
I just do not see it.
Are they going to put together enough offense?
That is not enough.
Straight games.
That is not enough money for me. Not enough enough odds. Here's one that I sneaky like. Wisconsin plus 800.
Whoa.
To make the Final Four. I'm kind of on this. I'm on this Wisconsin train right now.
Connor, I don't know if you know this, but
they're Wisconsin.
Michigan State was the last Big Ten team to win the national championship.
Oh, in 1999 with Mateen Cleaves?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you knew
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah.
Purdue plus 800. Michigan 850. Maryland 1,000. I could see that. I could see them making a run. You're never going to get great odds on Kansas, but right now is the ultimate buy low opportunity with Kansas.
Yeah, it's
the ultimate buy low opportunity. Kansas and Michigan State both plus 1,200. Like,
kind of reeling right now are the Jayhawks.
Yeah, but are you gonna? I mean, you could every year with people doing their tournament brackets. I'm either picking Kansas to lose in the first round, or I'm taking them to go to the Final Four.
It's going to be one or the other.
Yeah. Picking them to lose in the first round or the second round, or I'm taking them to go to the Final Four. And it just feels like they have Bill Self and they're Kansas, and they'll be able to pull something together in the right moments. But no, they do not look as good as they are supposed to in this moment.
New bracketology out today has them at a 5 seed going out to Seattle.
They don't like them in a 5-12 game, right? They like them in a 4-13 game. I could see them getting a 1 seed in the Sweet 16 and beating them.
How about a Joey Brackett's second round
Or-
matchup between Kansas and Michigan State?
Whoa. Yeah. Blue Blood Nation right
Yeah,
there.
Yeah.
Gonzaga is another team that people are interested in buying low on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Plus 1,300 to make the Final Four. And I'll give you a couple more. Connecticut.
What's the number?
1,600.
I don't hate it.
What are they right now on the seed line?
They are an 8 seed against Ohio State in the first round.
See, that is perfect.
They would
That
play
is perfect.
Duke in the second
But
round.
but
wow, what a sexy second round Joey Brackett
that's what I'm saying.
has for us.
They can beat a 1 seed.
They could.
They could absolutely beat a 1 seed. So if you put them in an 8, all of a sudden, all they have to do is beat the 1 in the second round. And if they've already beat the 1, then their path looks clear.
Duke, UConn, Kansas, Michigan State, all in the same
Bracket?
top half of the East bracket.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah. There's going to be some teams that are just seated outside of where you're expecting them to, that are usually like on the 1, 2, 3, like blue blood lines.
Yeah.
That'll be fascinating this year. Creighton, for the record, plus 2,400 to make the Final Four.
Okay.
Nebraska plus 9,000 to make the Final Four. Omaha is not listed.
Wow.
You cannot get odds on Omaha to make the Final Four.
Disrespect.
You could probably get them to make the tournament. Not right now. But yeah. Nebraska plus 9,000. It'd be really funny if Nebraska won their first ever NCAA tournament game and then went to the Final Four in the same year. They won 4 straight.
What a run.
That would be incredible. Black Cat is saying Texas A&M to reach the Final Four.
Black Cat.
Fascinating. Black Cat's all over the board, man. We should have Black Cat on as our gambling guest. That guy is all over the board.
He's interested.
He's interested. He's got some things he's interested in. All right, we are back with the odd news when we return on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
Fred Hoiberg, puncher of things, confirms
hitting stuff.
that Berke Buchtengel did not make the trip to Penn State, and he will therefore be out for tomorrow's Nebrasketball game at Pennsylvania State College, University, whatever. No Berke. No Berke, no problem.
Wow.
Question mark. It was a bit of a problem against Maryland with those tall guys. But all that had to happen against Northwestern was Nebraska to get down by 20 with 19 minutes left and then flip the switch. No Berke tomorrow. Okay, Josh, odd news. What do we got?
We have hang the banner. Josh was right. Patrick Mahomes Sr. admitted, I believe this was in a court of law last week, that his Bourbon Street dust-up with John Rocker was in fact staged to promote a celebrity boxing event taking place in April.
Oh,
whoever could have predicted such a thing? Me. I told you.
So they're doing the Barstool fight, right?
Yes, I believe so. Which is odd since the Patrick Mahomes that plays in the NFL hates Barstool.
He hates Barstool?
He does.
Why?
I believe he hates their whole get down. Just kind of.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like Patrick Mahomes would like Barstool.
Well, Compton was talking about he was on with them like their first post Barstool episode or something like that. And he talked about like, I'm
glad you guys are out.
Yeah. And,
weird.
And the boys were like, oh, I thought everyone knew you hated Barstool.
Oh, interesting. Oh, Patrick Mahomes trying to keep it ambiguous.
Mm-hmm.
Good job by him. Yeah. Good job, Josh. Well done.
Mm-hmm.
You nailed it. You can smell those a mile away.
Yeah.
You're not good at smelling fake relationships, but you are good at smelling potential promotional items for celebrity boxing matches. So nice job by you. What a skill.
Just feels like I didn't know John Rocker was alive. Why would I now know that John Rocker is alive?
Yeah.
Hockey has solved our nation's all-star game problem. And they're having a lot of fun in the studio in between the periods. I don't know if you know this. Hockey has intermissions.
Yes.
In which they go to the studio.
For a long time.
TNT is trying to replicate the Inside the NBA vibe with their NHL studio show. So they asked...
do they have somebody skate to the board?
That would be funny, actually. Good bit.
Oh my God, I can't stop!
So they asked 15-year NHL veteran Henrik Lundqvist.
Yeah. He close enough.
Yeah, it's difficult for me.
There's a V in there where there's not supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Foreign name. They asked him where the state of Massachusetts was and if he could identify it on a map.
Oh, really?
He played 15 seasons in the NHL. He played 23 games in the city of Boston.
Yeah.
And boy, did he fail miserably at Now, this is obviously, if you asked me where any city outside of the Americas would be, I would not know the answer. So
but if it
works both ways.
If you've spent the last 30 years of your life in America or in that country, like if I went to Italy for 3 weeks, I'd probably try to become a geographical Italy expert.
You might want to know the area, know the region.
Right. Like I would be looking at that country map all the time. I'd be trying to figure out like, what is the LA of Italy? And what is the New York? It's not that big of a country, but you know what I mean? I've done that with Australia before.
Okay. Look at you.
I really want to go to Australia.
The Swedish-born Lundqvist. See?
Lundqvist. You could just say Lundqvist.
Thank you.
Yeah.
God, you made me self-conscious about it.
I'm sorry.
He pinned the tail on the donkey near Bluefield, Virginia when trying to identify Massachusetts.
I was relatively close. Not way off. Virginia, Massachusetts. I mean, he got the right area of the country.
Yeah. Studio host Liam McHugh pointed out, hey, man, you live in New York.
Yeah.
Like,
Massachusetts is up there.
It's not like asking him to locate Butte, Wyoming, or Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, he said.
Okay,
so
but
do we give him a pass or not?
No, because I never give anybody passes on lack of geography knowledge because it's just, like they have that GeoGuessr game or whatever, or they they have this thing where it's they'll put a city up top and you have to like drop a pin on the city, and the closer you get, like, I crush that game. Like, absolutely kill that game. But it's just one of my things that I like to know. It's not like a special talent or anything, but I just really, I have to know where I am at all times. I have to have a sense of direction. I always know where north is, like I just,
you are a big maps guy.
I am tied to my sense of direction completely. Like that is, I mean, it's literally my compass, right? So I always got to know where I am.
Okay. So no pass from Connor Happer.
No. Sorry.
I'm a little more lenient.
Yeah, because you don't know.
I'm an idiot. I'm a beautiful idiot. And finally, we go to Michigan, where a judge is he's got a pair of shoplifters. He needs to get him to stop shoplifting. But our jails are crowded, Connor.
Yeah.
So we need unique punishments. Judge Jeffrey Cloutier has sentenced 2 Walmart shoplifters to give car washes in the Walmart parking lot for free.
Well,
when the weather warms up.
Okay, that's good.
He began ordering Walmart washing sentences this week for misdemeanor shoplifters in a Grand Blanc Township, 50 miles north of Detroit. He says 75 to 100 people will eventually be ordered to wash cars over the weekends in March and April. Judge said the Walmart is on board. They will provide water and supplies. This is hopefully going to deter people from shoplifting.
If it's a deterrent, if it works, if they find that it works, then yeah, whatever you got to do to get people to not do it anymore.
I like the idea. I don't know if it's going to work.
Doesn't feel like it will work.
Yeah.
But if it works, then I'm open to it. I'm open to alternative rehabilitation, Josh.
Great take.
Very inclusive on this show.
That's us.
Chance writes in before we go here. Happer probably went nuts when RG3 named all the states that border Nebraska. I was shouting. Shouting. More than I was shouting when I was listening to 21 on the radio that one day. Shouting.
Blackjack.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
That's the odd news. We're back for the noon hour. Jacob Bigelow will join us at 1. It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
He does it the only way he knows how. With his massive sports brain sprinkled with a smidgen of rabble-rousing.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back. More of the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. I've had quite the snafus over the last couple of days, just with the inability to use my left index finger. It's just annoying enough.
You need it. It's important.
Like this morning, I took the Band-Aid off, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to do today without the Band-Aid. I think we got enough there. You know, it sealed back up naturally underneath.
Okay.
And then I pressed something and popped back open.
Oh no.
Yep. So I had to re-Band-Aid it, and we're starting the process all the way over.
It'll do that.
And now copying, pasting things on my computer is really difficult. That's all. Josh, you probably, to copy and paste, you probably right click and press copy and then right click on the other thing and press paste.
I'm a Control V guy.
Oh, you are? That is an upset. Poll question.
Okay.
Are you surprised that Josh Odson uses Control V?
Surprised is apparently hard for me to spell.
Are you surprised that Josh Odson uses Control V and not just put Control, like you could ask, and not a right click? I am. I'm mildly surprised. I figured that you would be a right click guy for sure.
Control V is a relatively new bag.
You just learned this?
I didn't just learn it. I just started doing it.
Really?
One day around the office, I'm like,
wait. Really? Tell me one. What was the breaking point for you?
It was during football season when I'm.
So we're less than several months old.
I'm constantly copying episode descriptions from our show and pasting them into the YouTube feed. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to Control V.
Wow. RNG Schwartzwielder says Happer seems less likely and capable to Control V than Josh. Do I seem less technologically savvy than Josh?
Ooh.
Do we both seem not very tech?
I guess that's an option.
Where do we sit? Mike says, I was today years old when I learned about Control V. What do you mean today years old? You just learned about that you don't have to right click on things to copy them, that you could just highlight it, but then copy and then Control C or Control V.
Mm-hmm.
Nate says, yes. I believe that was to my question of, do we both not seem very technologically savvy?
Oh no.
So I genuinely don't know where people stand on that.
It's a new trick in my bag. I really like it.
I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you've adapted.
Productive.
I'm glad you've adjusted. Just know that I've been on the Control V train for a long time.
Jeremiah on YouTube. Connor asking that if Josh is just weird. Josh runs a show, baby.
Josh, you got to run the show, baby. It's amazing that you've been able to do all the things that you have done without knowing about Control V for the last 30 plus years of your life.
I knew about it. I just decided it's not that much quicker. It's fine. Whatever.
Yeah. So, RNG Schwartzwielder says Josh, being the producer, assumed responsibilities.
Okay.
This person assumed that you knew about Control V because you were the producer.
Outside of this radio station, I imagine the talent that understands technology is very minimal, or at least it was where I used to work.
We're a little younger here.
Yeah.
A little younger.
Just a little.
Black Cat, is this a bit? Baymon, I never knew Control V was that big of a deal. It's not. It's just faster. And you're definitely a lot cooler if you use it.
Ooh.
I'm telling you,
everybody try it today.
Josh, I got one for you.
Okay.
You've never heard me say this before. It's because I've had to hold it in for a long time.
Oh God.
All right. So I got something for you. When Josh when
I am terrified right now.
When Josh uses his phone, or like there's something that urgency is like a key, and like we need some urgency. It's like, hey, can we make contact with this person, or whatever is broken? Like, okay, Josh will pull out his phone, hold it in one hand like this, and then start tapping along like this. And it just doesn't convey urgency to me. It doesn't convey urgency to me. And so I sit here and I stew.
That does.
Are we gonna do? Are we gonna get there? Are we eventually going to get there? And I don't. It's the best way you know how. It's the fastest way you know how. But it just doesn't convey a sense of urgency.
Would you like me to scramble more?
I just want you to start hammering this thing with both fingers.
Okay,
I want you to just pick it up with both hands, and this be your only thing.
You want a two-thumbed approach instead of my old man, like, okay, let me look at my phone here.
Just pick up the glasses. The adjusting of the glass. You
got to pull it away from your face. Like, okay, let me look at my phone here.
The one-eyed squint.
That is a fair critique. I know a lot of people going, wow, he's really attacking. No, that's a fair critique.
I am mildly technologically savvy, I think. John emails in, Control V, good Lord. That was all the email said. Good Lord. John, who still emails into the show.
That's a perfectly acceptable.
It's a great method. It's a great method.
And it gets Equitable Bank a read.
That's true. We love the Equitable Bank inbox.
They take banking personally.
Baemon, next thing you know, you guys will take the next leap and be triple clicking to highlight an entire line.
What do you mean?
We knew about that one, right, Josh?
Look at that. It highlighted the whole line.
If you just start hammering that thing as much as possible, it'll start highlighting more things.
I have noticed that. I didn't know there was a set number.
All right. So let us know.
Give us some of your tips and tricks, and then they'll become our tips and tricks.
You have any tips and tricks for me? Aaron writes in, I feel like we're in a therapy session right now at Old School. And text from 308. Does anyone at your work still hunt and peck with two fingers to type? Well, yes. Josh, you're a pecker.
You call me a hunt? Would you call that pecking?
It's
okay. It's not
I
going to
think
offend
you
me
have
if
a
you do.
heavy usage of index finger in your type.
Okay.
In your typing ability.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know where all the keys are.
So you're arguing that you're not hunting, you're just pecking.
Yeah. I think
you know where they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard people explain this like, hey, it's my quickest, most efficient method. This is the way I do things. You got to just let me do it. But always in the back of my mind, I was like, that's sad. You didn't learn home row. You know? You can't.
I imagine our typing classes were very different in that I had one and you didn't.
I had a typing class.
You did? Okay.
Yeah. We would go into the computer lab and they would put those black masks over the keyboards and you didn't know what keys were where. And they were like, learn it.
I think ours was a multicolored pad, I believe.
What's that movie with the drummer and Miles Teller?
Whiplash?
It was like that. It was like Whiplash.
You're not
too slow. Not enough tempo. It was
tempo.
It was.
He did say tempo.
He said tempo a lot. Yes, it was like that. But it was cutthroat, and I'm a better person now because of it. That was in middle school. Shout out to Morton Middle School. Mike writes in weekly segment on Microsoft Word usage.
Hell yeah.
Hey, what have you learned in technology this week? Josh is like, turns out if you right click, you can do a lot of things there.
It's a lot of options. And we really make the document your own.
Yeah. I have a rule suggestion for the Big Ten Conference, Josh.
Oh, for the Big Ten Conference.
Did you see this? Did you hear about this yesterday? USC, located in, it's USC and UCLA. We're in Southern California. We're in LA. They had this that they wanted to show us on Twitter. Sorry, I'm just going to throw this on top of the entire screen.
Wow, how untechnologically advanced of you.
It's
just throw a graphic on an overlay instead of in the presentation bar.
We look fine. What if we did?
What a technological idiot!
What if we did this and
that's...
it's just us and the graphic really close? All right, that's better. So right here, we have the graphic that USC put out yesterday, and it. Hold on. And
other way.
It is
get your weatherman game.
But I have to look at it. I have to look at it too. Los Angeles, 69 degrees.
Nice.
Yesterday was a high temperature, and then they were throwing shade at all of the other Big Ten schools in their locations yesterday, such as Lincoln, Nebraska, where the high was 8, Iowa City, Iowa, where the high was 6, Madison, Wisconsin, where the high was 6, Minneapolis, Minnesota, where the high was -2. And so on and so forth. They're like, look at all this crap weather, and then look at us. Look at us. We're in LA. And I think somebody should tell USC what conference they're in. You don't get bonus points for having warm temperatures anymore. In fact, I believe that you should have points taken away.
Start at a disadvantage.
I think, I love how USC thinks this is a flex. This is the welcome to the Big Ten moment. USC thinks that they're cool by saying this, but they're not. Welcome to the Big Ten. The nastier, the better. You got any slush on your streets? You got any salt on your roadways? If you don't, you're not really in the Big Ten Conference.
Are you kicking out clumps of ice and snow from your car's undercarriage this week?
You should be.
You're Big Ten.
Do you own boots that aren't for hiking and that are for snow?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't, then you should not be allowed in this conference. You better get like everybody else. And so my new proposed rule is that I think that Big Ten schools should lose off-season points if there was an off-season like game.
Well, there is an off-season national championship
of which Nebraska wins every year.
Every year.
I think schools in the Big Ten should lose off-season points every time the temperature goes above 65 degrees from December to February.
I'd be for this rule.
Yep.
Now it's got 65, you said?
65.
Okay, so
don't you think that's a good number? I mean, we could haggle over the number.
So Nebraska's fine next week when it's 55 for a few days in a row.
Yes.
Okay.
65 I would call unseasonably warm for December to February.
I would agree.
November, around here, you never really know what you're going to get. It could be 80. Who knows? It could be 2. We've seen them both on Black Friday. Nebraska plays Iowa. So I think if you go above 65 degrees, if your high temperature goes above 65 degrees anytime in the months of December through February, that you should have points taken away from you. And once again, I love how USC thinks this is a flex. USC thinks this is cool, but what they're about to learn is that they're the weird ones.
Definitely.
Having nice weather in the Big Ten is not cool. It's not.
No, it's not going to get you anywhere. It doesn't harden your soul.
Absolutely. You have to, I mean, this is, we could take the graphic down probably now. Here, I'll take it down. And now we can make our faces normal sizes again. There we go.
Finally, I can look straight.
Very, very technologically savvy here.
James with a comment on the YouTube.
We've been hardened by it, Josh, and we know what to expect.
USC has a baseball series at Michigan, March 14th through 16th. Please be cold. Cold enough to play.
Michigan, by the way. Did you see their opening weekend?
No.
They had, they were doing some things. Michigan baseball might be a force to be reckoned with again. They might be back.
That's right. I did tweet something and say, see, Nick was right about that Northern baseball team winning.
Oh, you think they're going to make the College World Series?
I don't.
No. This is another thing. You have to have no baseball history and tradition. Nebraska was, they fell victim to this same thing when they joined the conference. I know what I thought about Nebraska baseball joining the Big Ten in 2011. I thought, well, this is going to be actually kind of cool because they'll win like 56 games every year. They'll go undefeated in the league, and they'll be a regional 1 seed, and then you just start your season there. It sounds awesome. They can't keep us out. But then they realized what we all slowly had to learn. which is you cannot defy the Big Ten. You will either adapt, adjust, and become one with the Big Ten, or you will fail. You will fail.
You'll be deleted.
Facebook deleted. You cannot defy it in any way. You cannot taunt it in any way. Even with these new teams coming into the league. And I know we were just talking about how it throws the whole equilibrium of the deal off. They'll learn. They'll learn. They think they got it all figured out because somebody's going to have some success in a sport early on. You know, I think USC or UCLA, like they always have all of these teams in the Olympic sports who win all the things. Don't worry. You'll learn.
They always have to learn the hard way, though. That's sad, really.
Hot Danger says Borg vibes. Resistance is futile. That's what I've learned about the Big Ten. I think it's the lesson that everyone needs to learn. You cannot try to be different. You must be Big Ten.
Many people are sending us, okay, now do one for blank. Okay, now do one for murderers who won a Heisman Trophy.
Oh, those were like in the comments.
Yeah.
1-0.
Now do one for air quality.
Yep.
Those
are funny.
Do one for fires seems a little too soon.
Definitely.
Okay, I'm glad we agree on that.
Definitely a little too soon. Guys, you don't have to fire back in the comments and say, well, USC, how about this and this and this? How about all the travesties that have occurred at the school and in their past? No. You are not a Big Ten school unless you've had some serious university-wide problems in the past. There must have been some sort of conspiracy. Of course, that's part of being in the Big Ten.
Sure.
You must be like the Big Ten.
Adapt or die.
Adapt or die. And the sooner you admit it, the better off. So I don't know what the answer is for UCLA, USC, especially those two in Southern California. I don't know what the answer is for them because they can't build an igloo over their city and make it 30 degrees all the time. They wouldn't do that. They're just a fish out of water. They're in the wrong place. And they will never adapt and adjust because it will always be 70 degrees in Los Angeles. So there's only so much they can do. But I will tell you, touting it and saying, hey, we're really cool because it's 70 degrees here and it's 8 degrees there. Wrong call. Bad call by you. Off-season points deducted. That's my column, Josh. Colin writes in.
Hi, Colin.
Josh O is a pecker? Question mark?
Rude.
That's what it says. A keyboard pecker.
Oh, a keyboard. Okay.
John emails in.
Hi, John.
I used to work with an older gentleman who only used his index fingers to type. The left index finger was for the shift key, and the right index finger was for all the other keys. Oh, my God.
That's a way to do it.
That's really bad. Now, Josh, you move the left index finger around quite a bit.
Yeah. I admit my typing is different than people who are quote unquote good at typing.
Your argument is, hey, it gets the job done. Yeah. What are you complaining about?
I don't even know if it's an argument. I think I'm begrudgingly holding the L.
Oh, really?
I think that's the message.
Well, there does seem to be an admittance from you that maybe at least you don't get frustrated by the things you don't understand.
Oh,
you just admit that you don't understand them.
I am very willing to admit, like, hey, I just don't know.
You are. You're one of the best at that. That's for sure. Can someone please help me? I don't. I'm willing to learn. But I don't. I know my limits.
Mm-hmm.
That's admirable.
Thank you.
Jeff writes in,
Hi,
cracking
Jeff.
up at Josh just staring at the picture in the middle. It was a good bit by you. All right, it's a couple email comments or tweet comments. Sorry, from you.
ZoneTV.live for more visual bits.
We got them. Even when we put up a giant graphic that doesn't fit in the middle of a screen, and Josh has to look at it like this, like a weatherman. Ethan writes in.
Hi, Ethan.
Speaking of Big Ten baseball, how dumb are preseason rankings? The Big Ten's third best team in preseason rankings, Indiana, goes 0-4 in a weekend where they should have gone 3-1. Yes. Have we learned anything by now? They don't actually know or care to know at all who's going to win the league. I don't even know the research that they do. And once again, that list is made by nobody. It's made by robots. Like, it's made by the conference. They're like, here's 6 teams that you got to watch for. And I would genuinely be curious. I definitely don't have time to do this research project, even though, I went deep into the Bart Torvik files yesterday. I would pretty much guarantee that the Big Ten baseball preseason teams to watch list has been nowhere remotely close to the final standings, probably ever. Probably ever. Because in the Big Ten, that happens every year. There's like 3 or 4 teams that are just like, oh, wow, I guess I forgot about them. They exist. They won the league. And then that year happens, and then the next year they don't do it again, but they get picked to win the league because they just won the league this past year. Yeah. It's odd.
Indiana lost to Xavier.
Whoa.
Oof.
Have some respect for the Big East, Josh.
I mean, okay. A lot of close losses in here this weekend.
How about UConn?
They are a sleeper among many.
Creighton took one from UNC Greensboro.
Mm-hmm. Found the bats. I'm glad the bats woke up.
Glad the bats woke up. Joel writes in.
Hi, Joel.
Imagine if someone would create a conference of 10 schools near the Pacific Coast so those poor LA schools could be in their own company. Yeah.
Seems impossible.
This is the crusade that I'm on right now, Josh. I don't know why, and I don't know when I'm going to get off it, but I am way past my breaking point and my level of acceptance for this whole conference realignment thing. I am now raging against the machine.
You want these schools to be broken.
And I know that resistance is futile, but I want to go back. I want to go back to where things used to be. We've gone too far.
Think of the money, Con.
I know. I love money. I'm glad Nebraska is involved in the Big Ten for all the money, but look at what it's cost. Everything.
Just our soul. What's a soul?
That's Greg the Egg, right?
Oh,
what's a soul for anyway? Who needs a soul anyway? Will you be my Sporus? All right. We will be back after this. Get used to it. This is the crusade that I'll probably never get off. We're up next on 1620 The Zone.
When you're putting a
The local news is covering the heck out of the middle of the airport being closed.
It's gone. What does it mean, Connor?
It means almost nothing.
Yeah, isn't it more of like a
Because
left-right situation?
Who at the Omaha airport has to use both sides of the terminal? Nobody. You either fly Delta or you fly Southwest or United, and those are on different sides of the airport, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Cracky McGee's is in the South terminal, and everyone talks about Cracky McGee's, but I realize it's like, I don't really see Cracky McGee's because I don't fly Delta usually. I fly the low cost, baby. I fly where bags fly free. Southwest. Take that, people who think I'm rich. I fly Southwest.
Even Warren Buffett is a known penny pincher.
Do you think Warren Buffett flies Southwest?
I do not. But
question.
He pinches pennies in other ways.
I don't think Warren Buffett probably flies much anymore. Maybe. I mean, he's getting up there.
Yeah.
I don't think Warren Buffett flies Southwest.
Probably a lot of Zoom work for him.
And I bet that Warren Buffett probably flies private because he's one of the richest people on earth and probably doesn't have to care about or use terminals.
Mm-hmm.
But they're covering the hell out of this thing on the news. Hey, middle part of the terminal is closed. Guess what? Don't care. Doesn't matter.
Moose out front should have told you.
Moose out front should have told you. Forks closed.
50 yards.
Nothing to be proud of, Russ. Mike, Warren Buffett, big Spirit Airlines guy. We got a couple Spirit flights here in Omaha.
I love that you just know who flies in and out of here, where they go. I genuinely like that.
I really do. I have that. I don't know why.
I just fly a chartered flight once or twice a year.
Like
that's really the only time I ever hop on a plane.
You'll name a city, and it'll be like Nashville, and it'll be like, oh, I wonder. Somebody will say out loud in the room, like this is among a group conversation. It's like, oh man, I wonder if there's any directs to Nashville, and I will immediately and confidently say off the top of my head, there's not.
Tampa,
there are directs in Southwest, I believe. Yes.
Allegiant as well, I believe.
Maybe. Yeah, I think they're in the game now too.
Mm-hmm.
Vegas, obviously, direct.
Oh, yeah.
You know, all the Midwestern hubs, Denver, Minneapolis, Chicago, get direct from Omaha there. And those will mainly be your routes and the way to get to whatever other city you're trying to make it to, whether it be on the East Coast or the West. Anyway.
And this is going to be closed for the next year and a half, right?
It's fine. We're going to have a whole new airport in a couple years. I'm willing to go through whatever pain is necessary.
I think it's really good in the long run.
I'm going to be able to buy $9 runs in the airport.
I cannot
3 years
to get the $37 Crockman sewer from Block 16 at the airport.
It's going to be great.
It's going to hit different.
If you thought a $22 Blimpie sub was good, let me introduce you to the $36 hamburger.
Yes.
That's going to be really good. Joel writes in.
Hi, Joel.
All this airport talk makes me miss Matt Rhule Airlines.
Redway?
Yeah, I believe that's what it was called. I think that was operational for a couple days.
Couple people got a flight out of that. It was cheap. Mm-hmm.
I'll give them that.
Yep.
Now, unfortunately, if you had a flight scheduled past the time in which they closed, I don't believe you got your money back.
Oof.
I don't. But like I said, it was only probably $32. So, like, would you pay a $32 non-refundable deposit for a flight that you're going to take in like 8 months? I might think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that there's like a 50% chance you actually take that flight for $32, or you could just be out $32.
$32.
It's a low risk proposition.
I've done bigger gambles.
I think I have too. Matt Rhule. Matt Rhule. Speaking of Matt Rhule,
he had an airline.
No longer the chairman and CEO of an airline, or marketing spokesperson for an airline. Now he's just a lowly head football coach,
but still a marketing spokesman.
Definitely. as evidenced by his hour-long conversation with 24/7 Sports bald buff guy Josh Pate, who I actually like, for the record.
Okay.
I think he's got pretty decent takes.
I didn't know where we stood.
He seems to understand college football at a worldly level. I have a clip for you from the Josh Pate interview with Matt Rhule. This was a wide-ranging thing, and he kind of got it. Like, he kind of got Rhule going. You know, they were like agreeing on stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of one of those things. I felt like this was an interesting clip, talking about what makes a good coach today, what can make a good coach today, and how that's maybe different from what it used to be. Here he is.
Typically, when you're putting a staff together, can you tell that there are guys sitting around the table who are one day going to be head coaches?
I feel like I see them. I feel like other people don't. You know, you think about it, there's two assistant coaches of mine, former assistant coaches of mine, that are head coaches in college football. Joey McGuire at Texas Tech and Fran Brown at Syracuse. And neither one of them ever was a play calling coordinator. But they're leaders. They're leaders of men, and they know how to put together a roster. I'd say that in today's football, what's more important, the ability to put together a roster and develop talent, or being a great play caller? I can hire a great play caller. Yeah, I want the guys out there making plays. And so, you know, a lot of people would never consider. I mean, I remember pushing Fran for jobs at Temple and other places, and, you know, people wouldn't really consider them. I remember pushing Joey for some jobs, and I've had others like that. But I think sometimes we think that to be a head coach, you have to be a play caller. My day starts and ends with everything else other than, hey, what are we going to call on third down? And I have to be a leader in that area. I have to walk in and talk about it and challenge people and talk about how we're going to win this game. And, you know, I have to be involved in the X's and O's to a degree.
Do you think sometimes people in hiring positions misunderstand the respect factor in the building, i.e., they look at someone who hasn't called plays before, and even if they're convinced, I think he could be a good head coach, the follow-up is, but I'm concerned the guys on the staff, the guys in the building won't respect someone who's never called plays before, which you're telling me is a gross mischaracterization of how a functional building actually operates.
It's so much more about the players, and it's so much more about the matchups and who's successful and who's not, that the play calling, yeah, when you have better players, you can call a lot of really good plays. To me, I want to know who finds a way to win consistently. And that is an ability, kind of going back to what I said earlier about attacking, you know, the new world of college football. Who's versatile? Who's flexible with their brain? Who can adjust to the things that have happened? Who can adjust? Like Chip Kelly's such a great offensive coordinator. It's like, hey, give him whatever quarterback you give him, he's probably going to find a way to score points. That's coaching. And so I just think we overemphasize just the way it looks. I think we do that with the playoff committee. You know, just show me a team that wins and show me a coach who figures out how to win with whoever he has.
All right, that's Matt Rhule on the Josh Pate show, something like that. He's going through like a series of conversations that he'll have with head coaches across college football. By the way, Mike says Matt Rhule looks like he is about to answer questions while eating hot wings.
The set was a little bland, a little drab.
Well,
like on Hot Ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he should have put a plate of hot wings in front of him just to see what happened. This one's spicy.
Is Matt Rhule okay?
What do you mean, Josh?
Boy, he's got no voice.
Dude,
he looked a little.
Somebody's got to get him a glass of water.
I mean,
that's all he really needs. Just give the guy a glass of water.
Disheveled is not the right word.
Do you think that we should next time? Because last time, one of the last times, I guess we chatted face to face, I told him about the point thing. It turned out to be very monumental. Next time I see him, I'm going to tell him about the beauty of Hall's cough drops.
Just keep a bag of these in your suit jacket.
They're covered in honey.
Yeah.
And therefore they will allow your throat to not be very scratchy when you do hour-long interviews on podcasts.
Yeah.
Might help. That's the next time we talk, though.
He looked tired.
I guess the last time we talked before that was when he tried to steal my Royals hat.
He's a big Royals fan.
Apparently he's a fan of many things. Jeff writes in, I think these Rhule comments actually reflect his lack of in-game management we've complained about. Okay, so that's interesting. So What Rhule is saying, I think, is undeniably true about the sport right now. We are shifting away from the play caller head coach, the fancy offense. You hire a coach because you have he's attached to a scheme and he's got a cool fancy offense, right? Like Rhule is talking about how do you build, and I think he is on one side of the scale here, of the meter, right? And he's really far over to the right or left, however you want to put it, on the scale of like, I believe in the CEO head coach. I mean, that he's clearly made himself that. And I think his adjustments since he's been at Nebraska have reflected that. He has hired an offensive coordinator in which he's completely given the reins over to. He has hired a new defensive coordinator. He had a defensive coordinator before who I think had, quite a bit of the reins, maybe not enough, according to some. And then now has hired a new defensive coordinator and a person who kind of ranks ahead of him on defense in Phil Snow, as like I view Phil Snow as the head coach of the defense, that kind of thing. And John Butler is the defensive coordinator. So you have this power structure and the freedom of being able to hire all these coaches has allowed you the means and the freedom to be able to make these moves and put people in positions where they're going to be successful. You don't have to square peg round hole it anymore. And Rhule has made himself as a CEO head coach. So I wonder, like Jeff said, I wonder how people feel about that. And it will still be up to Rhule during the games to make the calls on the push and pulls of what, are we aggressive here? Are we conservative here? Do we fake punt here? The answer is usually yes for Matt Rhule. I love fake punting and Matt Rhule. Do we take a timeout here? Do we go for it on fourth down? Does that speak to his his inability to be able to get those things right so far? I have always said that I don't quite care about that as much as you guys do yet, because I think Nebraska has work to do to get itself on a baseline level to the point where that stuff is really, really, really important. But I mean, as they get closer and closer, they can't have those things hold them back.
Okay.
That's for sure. But kind of interesting comments, and undoubtedly the way that we're headed in college football, it's just not, it's not that way anymore. I think so. He's right about that. And I like that he's steadfast in the way he thinks about head coaches and the way he thinks about coordinators and the positions that you put those guys in too. There's always got to be a balance on your staff. And I feel like, with this new staff, he has achieved a little bit of that balance, and he's really, put the power structure, pretty clearly in front of us. It's interesting. More stuff from Rhule with Josh Pate. We don't have any more video.
Tech.
Josh forgot to copy Control V it over.
That one's on me.
That's okay. So I mean, like I said, this is wide ranging stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you had him for an hour. I would hope so.
Had him for an hour. But the normal question about like, hey, how do you deal with the portal now compared to sort of what it used to be? And you're a developmental coach, so you love it when guys, and he talked at length about how important he felt like it was to have a guy in a program for 3 years at a time and watch them grow and watch them develop. But he also knows that that's just not reality anymore, because guys after 1 year of not playing or after 2 years of not playing, they'll just go into the portal and they'll go to some place where they can play. They'll get impatient. But I think what we've seen over and over and over again, and we'll talk about this a little bit with the Nebrasketball roller coaster. It kind of goes into that topic actually pretty well. When guys stay at places for 2 and 3 years, consistency is really important. It is also part of my point on why are we changing the college football playoff? That's another thing. He said, quote, I had to get aggressive in the portal, but what I found, there's always two sides to everything. What I found is that there are a lot of guys who did stay, and I can't wait to coach them. What I did find, too, is there are a lot of guys who came in from Georgia Southern or East Tennessee. He's talking about Watson Trent, the linebacker, and Jalen George, the defensive lineman, Georgia Southern and East Tennessee State, and said, wait a minute now, Coach, I get 21 meals a week in the cafeteria. You mean to tell me I have a professional chef who will make my food to order, right? Where, some of he was comparing that to some of the sort of highly recruited guys or whatever it might be who've been in the program for a year, and they're all complaining about playing time and telling Rhule about how they have all these options to go into the transfer portal. And he's just like, okay, fine, we'll get somebody who wants to be here then. We'll get somebody who does appreciate this because you got it pretty good at Nebraska. That's pretty aggressive. That's pretty definitive, right? I don't think it's like one-to-one that way every single time. But he said, instead of me having the guy who was complaining, Coach, why do I have to eat meals all the time? My friend at so-and-so, they only have to go to a meal 5 days a week. I replaced that guy with this guy. So the way he thinks about football has really adapted and adjusted more toward, and this is to an extent the way he's always been, but he's full in this boat now of just like, he is the culture guy and he is how are these guys on the roster going to, this is really important. And it doesn't, like, it might not manifest itself completely on Saturdays, but he obviously thinks it makes a difference. It's culture, having guys who fit in with the rest of the culture of the team, who's bought in to what they're doing. Like, and the way he talks about it is he feels like, and he mentioned that one of his players had came up to him over the last couple days and said, hey, Coach, I think you really found some guys who fit in pretty well here. You made some good picks. He got that feedback from one of his players, according to Rhule. I don't know if that's true or not, or whatever, whoever he was talking to, or whatever that was.
Oh, you got the Matt Rhule.
Whatever that was about. Yes. Glass of water. But he's way in on that. And that's great. I think that's a good thing. Nebraska needs to get that piece of it right. For sure. And maybe they have a better chance to get it right, even though there's all this movement with the portal and NIL and all that stuff. Maybe they think, okay, that's our edge. That's where we're going to be really good. We're going to have a really, really good, our team will be greater than the sum of its parts. You want to have great parts. You got to have great parts.
They're getting there on that.
I think that's
front.
what they think.
Mm-hmm.
I
that
think,
would make sense.
I think that's what they think can be their edge.
As an approach, that would make sense.
But it has to have success.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're never going to know the answer. You could do all the things right, and if it just doesn't work and you lose a whole bunch of games by 4 and you're 7-6 again next year or whatever, the panic sets in even more so. And then you might never get to know whether that was the right way to do it or not. But he's really sure about himself in the way he talks about building football teams and building rosters. All right. We can have more on that when we come back. We'll have thoughts from you guys as well. Jump on the Nebrasketball roller coaster with Jacob Bigelow. Plenty to come on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
All right, welcome back. We're the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Nebraska basketball tomorrow at Penn State. We'll talk about the roller coaster of Nebrasketball with Jacob Bigelow here in just a couple minutes. I also want to update people on what John Cook is up to. Chattel talked to John Cook.
It's been so long since I've seen John Cook in public.
Well, where does he go? What happens now to retired John Cook? Well, he goes home to Wyoming. And
that's not Nebraska.
Oh, no, it's very far away from Nebraska, Josh.
Interesting.
It's on the border of Idaho.
Oh, people forget.
On the west side of the Tetons from Jackson Hole.
Wow.
Cook said, quote, "It's the other side of the Teton Mountains, the west side. It's a library and a school, old little town. Our biggest city we go to is 7 miles away in Driggs, Idaho. They have a grocery store, dentist, hardware store, things like that." John Cook is keeping his condo in downtown Lincoln just in case he needs to come back and hang out every once in a while. And, of course, they have to figure out that whole advisory role that he's stepping into in the athletic department. But sounds like John Cook's going to be doing a lot of WFHing.
Working from home.
Yeah, I wonder if he's pecking. Wonder if he knows about Control V. Buddy, you better learn.
No way, right?
Do you think John Cook knows about Control V?
Poll question.
Yeah. We can plenty of discussion on that. Let's first take a phone call from our good friend, Random Mike. Mike, good to hear from you. How are you?
Hunter, I want you to know one thing.
Okay.
When others turn and walk away, you can count on me to stay.
Thank you. Is that a song lyric? What? Can you sing it?
That's exactly. You know who wrote that?
No, it doesn't.
Bennington's own Paul Williams.
Oh, it doesn't ring a bell.
You and Me Against the World, big hit by Helen Reddy.
I would know the
Before your
tune.
time, man.
I would know the
Before your
tune. I
time.
know a lot of songs. I would know the tune if you sang it to me, but that's up to you.
I've heard my voice, and no, I'm not going to sing it. But You and Me Against the World, Helen Reddy, you can get it very easily on the internet.
Okay.
And if you look at the comments, it became the anthem for us, actually single mothers everywhere. And there's some great comments by people that lived through that. But you can't count on me.
Thank you.
Rich from Myrtle Beach, has he commented on our three coordinators that we got now?
Greg in Myrtle Beach?
Greg, excuse me.
I think he said basically like, hey, those guys better work. Something. I think he kind of liked them, but he didn't want to admit it.
Oh, there you go. Because another song, The Best Is Yet to Come, and Won't It Be Fine. I love these coordinators. And there's a lot of brain power on defense.
I think so too. I think they'll be able to piece that puzzle together with all the defensive minds they have over there, especially at the top. Yeah, I think they'll be able to piece it together.
Another question: how many wins or losses would Creighton have if they didn't have Neal? Seems to me this is a real important guy.
If they didn't have Neal, so do they also lose? Like everything else goes the same, but they just don't, like, you erase Jemiah Neal from the entire season.
There you go.
Oh boy. Probably not very good. Maybe you could argue like a little better at first, but yeah, they would need some more firepower if they didn't have that guy for sure.
Would you say he's one of the best athletes they've had in a number of years?
I would. He might be one of the better pure athletes I've seen at Creighton for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and I love what he said. I think he's becoming one of the coach's favorites. What he said about feeling, does this coach like me? Why is he on me all the time? And then he realized that he's making him better, and that's a good thing. And I think a coach loves to hear that.
It's amazing the strides that he has made in just 1 year for sure.
But no, so I'm super optimistic. But Britt Prince What's the word out here? Is this
I
day
don't
to day,
know.
or is this real?
I think Amy said day to day yesterday, but it didn't look great. But we're gonna run right now of seeing things that don't look great, and then it turns out to be okay. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess we'll find out tomorrow.
But yeah, the thing about Neil is the athleticism he has really sets him apart. And boy, you need that. And I know with our women's team, just like the loss against Illinois and the win against Maryland, what a great win it was. Did you see both those games?
Yeah, they just shot the crap out of the ball against Maryland. I would say it's like probably 2 or 3 times a year they have games where they just don't miss shots, and it happened to be one at a pretty good team at Maryland.
Yeah, exactly. And what a difference in the first quarter and the rest. But a lot of those shots were because a lot of great screens were set. I mean, they played at a higher rate, and they really looked well coached. Where people knew what they were doing. And but the thing is, the athleticism. When they lose, a lot of times they just don't have the athletes that the great teams have. And against Illinois, their one forward, she was just running by our people. We didn't have anybody to stop her. I just wish they had more athletes.
Yeah. It's one of the things that have been it's been a little bit elusive in that category. You remember Coley was like a pretty highly recruited. She was like a 5-star and then enrolled early, and she just hasn't really like developed into an offensive threat for them. So I don't know. They've got a lot of sure things, I think, but not a lot of room for growth outside of Prince for sure.
Yeah, and the 2 girls that got hurt, were arguably 2 of their best athletes. Widener's a great athlete when she's healthy.
Oh yeah,
it just sort of sets limits on how far they can go. But with football, I'm really excited about these coordinators. I think Rhule is right about the head coach does not have to be a play caller. Some of the great ones were, Bill Walsh, Tom Osborne, et cetera. But you don't have to be. And I think he needs great assistance that now he's. Hopefully he's got. But hey, take care, buddy.
Thank you, Mike. Good to hear from you again. All right. So did we get do we get what songs he was talking about? I got the second one. The best is yet to come.
No, I was still.
Oh, I thought you were pecking away over there.
Not.
Okay.
I mean, I was, but other things.
Hot Danger asked if Random Mike is a gendered J-sker. He's talking about the Creighton men's team and the Nebraska women's team. I think he likes all of the sports. He definitely likes the Nebraska women more than most that call into the show. It's usually what he wants to talk about.
He likes all the hoops.
He does like the hoops. I am curious to see what happens with Britt Prince, potentially with the injury there. But we'll find out tomorrow as Nebraska plays Oregon. Oregon's in the Big Ten now, Josh.
People forget.
Have you heard this? Yeah. So anyway, John Cook lives in the mountains in basically Idaho, and Random Mike calls. That's a segment, ladies and gentlemen.
Boom.
All right, we're back with Jacob Bigelow on the other side. Speaking of basketball, Jacob Bigelow, ladies and gentlemen.
He loves hoops.
He loves basketball. And we do too. And we love Jacob. And he'll join us next on 1620 The Zone.
heating up.
That's the country song, right? Remember when?
Thank you.
Jacob Bigelow.
Yeah. Whenever my open is concocted, throw that in there.
He's on fire.
Jacob Bigelow, Huskers Illustrated, on the Connor Happer Show, on 1620, The Zone.
Boom shakalaka.
Look at that picture up on the YouTube right now. The hot take alert from Matt McMaster that says, I'm a Snapchat veteran.
That's a thing he said.
It is a thing that he said. It's not much of a take, but
No.
I'm glad it has the fire graphic behind it.
Just
it's a good thing.
Really an excuse to promote Gary and Matt.
Maybe-
Mornings on 1620 The Zone.
Maybe in this next segment with Jacob Bigelow, as he joins us now on the phone, he will say something worthy of giving him a fire graphic.
Oh yeah, come on, Jacob.
We'll be listening closely, Jacob. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. I don't think I've ever gotten a fire graphic in my time as a guest, but I don't think I'm very hot takey either. So that I gotta toe the line.
There's a really specific area that you have to fit in. Like it's not a hot take really, but it kind of it sounds insane at the same time. You'll know it when you hear it.
Yeah.
I think you figure it out.
It would be funny out of context.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair. Yeah, no, I mean, I do say some odd things. So maybe we could get there.
Okay.
We could get there.
Yeah, you're good for one every once in a while. All right. Nebraska basketball has now won 5 out of 6 games. What in the world happened on Sunday at Northwestern? I'll leave it to you plainly like that. What happened?
I mean, it was the worst 20 minutes of basketball that they have played this season by far in that first half.
Mm-hmm.
And it was followed by Northwestern playing possibly the worst 20 minutes of basketball that they could possibly play and just imploding in quite epic fashion. I know that, we are in Nebraska. I mainly talk about the team at Nebraska, but I don't know if as evidenced by that crowd on Sunday, Northwestern basketball fans, I don't know if they exist. But if I was a part of, that program, blowing a 20-point lead in the way that they did that at home,
wouldn't sit well with me.
No, imagine if it was the script was flipped and that was like a Sunday game at PBA and Nebraska blew a 20-point lead, the discourse would be insufferable. But they looked like a completely different team. As I feel like we've talked about all year, just their effort, their intensity, it is so. It's important. I think that may be their margin for error. The embodiment of their margin for error is their effort, and it was not there for 20 minutes on Sunday. And then with a little help from the home team, it was definitely there in the second half.
Why does it seem to be so literally half to half with them? You can rattle off 5 or 6 just horrendous halves that they've played this year that seem to be immediately followed by or preceded by incredible halves. That's been a thing for the last 2 years. Could you get any sense to the bottom of that and how that makes any sense with this group?
It doesn't make a damn lick of sense. It's the Knives Out clip. It makes no damn sense. It compels me though. That's the story of this Nebraska basketball season in a nutshell. And Fred Hoiberg got asked about that a little bit ago. They did a Zoom media availability, and he was like, we put an extra emphasis on starting off strong in all our drills, and he talked about the importance of getting off to good starts. And you and I have talked about that quite a bit too. But now in this stretch of the last 6, I think they've trailed at halftime in 4 straight games. They were they flipped the script on Washington and Northwestern, from down double digits to winning. I don't think they beat Northwestern by they didn't beat Northwestern by double digits, but just 2 really those are arguably the 2 most impressive ones against two pretty bad teams. But I think just flipping the scripts, maybe yes, the two of their more impressive efforts of the season. It's a weird team, weird program, weird season, and there's still 5 games to go.
How much? And I don't want to make one person guilty of being the driver for all this, but it does feel like Juwan Gary is their emotional leader, and I don't know that I necessarily can tie it to when he's bad, they're bad from that standpoint, from the emotional standpoint. But I mean, he is, when things are good, there is a different body language about, like, can you tie those things together? How easy is it to do that? And is it that simple for Nebraska basketball?
Yeah, I mean, I think you could definitely tie them together because, I mean, even when they were in when they were hitting, they hit the 6-game losing streak, people were like, is Bryce Williams hurt? Like, what is this Bryce Williams? Like, he was still, like, hovering around 20 points. Like, you know what you're going to get with Bryce. There are just different, like, levels of it, as we've seen in this stretch. But Juwan Gary is definitely, he could be a representation of this team's season. I mean, when they were in that losing streak, he, thought he would, he reminded me of Draymond, the picture of Draymond Green with the backpack on, shooting threes. Like, that was just like, he was just like, that was what plenty has been made about him launching from 3. He's still taking some, but not as many. There were
he's making more now.
Yeah, he's making more. He's taking smarter ones, I would say,
yes,
which is resulting in some makes. And I lost my train of thought. But no, there were some games where he was taking north of 20 shots, and that's just like, that's not the recipe. Like him having north of 20 field goal attempts, probably not where you want it to be. But I mean, he's a pretty good representation of where they're at. Like when he's doing the stuff that has earned him the affection of this fan base, and for lack of a better word, the junkyard dog type stuff, playing inside, playing around the rim, going for rebounds, like that's where he's at his best, and that's when this team has looked its best as well.
So big picture, and you zoom out a little bit. I've been thinking a lot over the last couple of days about the emotional Nebrasketball roller coaster and what to tie it back to. And the one of the things that I came to is building it through the portal, as they've done. I wonder if you think that has, that's a causation there. And, that is certainly what they're going with right now. That is their option. And it worked out a heck of a lot better than it did in the first run through when you're, recruiting high school guys and whatever else you were doing with that roster. But I wonder if you could connect those and sort of what the roster looks like in a year-by-year basis to sort of how you feel about them and how the team feels about itself from an emotional standpoint.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a part of it. You hear it all the time about how teams look completely different year after year, but this Nebraska team's a perfect example. They bring back Bryce and Juwan and Sam Hoiberg. Sam and Juwan are the guys that have been a part of it for the last 3 years. You bring back Bryce. Rick Mass is still around, but he's not playing. But in a couple weeks against Iowa on Senior Day, they're going to have 6 seniors getting honored, and it's all going to be guys who contribute and have played a part in this thing. And then that question, you want to talk about an emotional roller coaster, like building a roster going into next year. Like there's going to be a lot of that about. It's going to be dependent on how the season ends, where it goes, what the momentum looks like, and it's going to be just another twist and turn on that emotional roller coaster. But I think that definitely plays a part in it.
I think they've established a floor, right? Like and you could clearly become a landing spot for a guy that was a prolific scorer at the mid-major level and wants to come up and test his hand in the Big Ten. Like Nebraska is a place where they'll be looking for that next year, and you could find it. I think they've established a floor, which is, I think, a really nice step for Nebraska basketball. But still, I think people always crave that consistency on a game in, game out basis, and maybe they can't have both.
Yeah, I mean it's you got to pick and choose, right? What you want to see more of. Year over year, game to game. I mean, there's levels to it, and it's. I mean, what's crazy is there's all these questions about the roller coaster and uncertainty for next year. Like, I mean, if their name gets called on Selection Sunday, that'll be the first time in 31 years that this program has gone to back-to-back NCAA tournaments.
Yeah,
that's
an accomplishment.
That's an accomplishment, and I know a lot will be made about what they've done when they get there. But I mean, if they are finally able to, I got accused of referring to it like they talk about Voldemort and Harry Potter, but like if they get to the tournament and win a damn game, the momentum that would build internally for them moving forward would be enormous. And when you're looking at the work they're going to have to do roster wise this offseason, a little extra momentum, a little more juice certainly would not hurt.
But think about it, Jacob. They went 500 2 years ago. They won 23 games last year, and they're about to win 20 this year. I mean, that if you're to give people that, regardless of how many NCAA tournament wins you have during that period of time, you're just taking the deal. You're signing on the dotted line blindly, I think.
I would tend to agree. As someone who was a part of that program in a 22 win season, and the expectations that followed the year after it. I mean, I think back to back. I mean, it's Inglorious Bastards. Like, I'll take that deal. That's a pretty good deal. Like, you just propose them that blindly. It's like, what? I'll take it for sure.
We have some huge games in the Big Ten tonight. Looking forward to each of these really individually. Wisconsin and Illinois they play tonight. Purdue and Michigan State is tonight. And I guess the other game on the slate would be Minnesota and UCLA. So really, we're just looking at Purdue and Michigan State and Wisconsin and Illinois. As we start to kind of understand the Big Ten. Maybe the more we know about it, the less we actually know about it. How do you think this thing shakes out as we get closer and closer to the end of the season as far as the caliber of teams that are at the top?
Yeah, those are two pretty enormous games. It's kind of a loser leaves town vibe in terms of the regular season title race with both of those tonight. Wisconsin, Illinois is going to be a game of who wants to guard somebody. There's going to be plenty of ways. Plenty of guys who can get buckets and plenty of offense in that one. And then I'm kind of more drawn to Purdue and Michigan State, just because I think those are two teams that those are the two teams that I look to kind of out. I mean, Maryland's not going to be able to sneak into the title race. I think they'll make some noise in Indy when we get there and could do some damage in the tournament. But in terms of the top of the league and team like the torchbearers, the flag carriers for March, I'm kind of more so drawn to Purdue and Michigan State tonight. I think that'll be a really fun game to watch. And yeah, they're both kind of eliminators when it comes to the race for the regular season title. But a lot of those two teams, I think, are going to be kind of the torchbearers when we get to Selection Sunday and beyond.
Does it feel like Michigan has put together maybe the quietest Big Ten championship caliber season that we've seen in a long time?
It feels like it. I mean, I've been,
you've been all about them for a while.
I've been tooting the Dusty May horn since they made that hire. I'm really looking forward to seeing them up close and personal. But I mean, they won 8 games last season under Juwan Howard, and they are, they're at 20 wins. They're in the running for a Big Ten title. They've got some big pelts on the wall with their season as well, and I feel like they're still kind of flying under the radar. It'll be nationally at least. Not nationally, they're number 12, but I feel like in this.
I'm with you though. It feels quieter than them being number 12.
Yeah, definitely. It feels like they aren't being talked about nearly enough, and maybe that's in part because. Dusty May is a pretty low key dude. He's not, putting out bulletin board clips and things like that. That might be maybe a part of it too. But I've been on the Michigan train for a while. I'm interested to see them in person, and I'm interested to see what they do these next few weeks too.
Their schedule is fascinating. They play Michigan State twice in the last 3 weeks, including Friday night at home, and then they go to Nebraska on Monday. They also have a home game against Illinois and a home game against Maryland. I mean, and then a Rutgers game, dangerous Rutgers is slammed in there too. So they have a bunch of home games, just 2 road games left for Michigan, but that is a challenging ladder to climb if you're trying to win a Big Ten title.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that Maryland game, may I interest you in post play? That Maryland game, Queen and Reese going up against Wolf and Vlad Gold.
That's big dudes.
That'll be those are big dudes, big bodies, big dudes. But they and then those 2 Michigan State games. That rivalry the last couple of years has been fairly one-sided as the Juwan Howard era took a turn for the worse. I'm interested to see what those games look like with a little more juice back in Ann Arbor for sure.
All right, Jacob, big couple weeks coming up here for Nebraska basketball. Appreciate you being there to break it all down in the meantime. Thanks for joining. Talk to you later.
Yeah, talk to you guys later. Have a good show. Good rest of the week. Always a pleasure, Happer.
That's Jacob Bigelow, Huskers Illustrated, Stretch Big Pod, IED Club, doing post-game pods. Maybe he'll have a sip of wine in between.
Oh,
he's been known to do that.
Okay.
Or maybe a whole bottle.
Hello.
Who knows?
The
Hanging
best
out with my dudes talking Nebrasketball.
The best hot take alert sign I have.
You don't have to force it.
That. I've been tooting the Dusty May horn. I don't love it.
Don't force it.
Okay.
Don't force it. If it's not there, don't go.
Let me give you one other one that I heard.
Okay.
May I interest you in post play?
Not a hot take, but would look funny on the graphic, probably.
It would. I don't know.
Don't force it.
I
Don't force it.
I agree. Don't force it.
There's one that's coming. We just got to wait for it.
He'll give us one.
By the way, what have you done here on Twitter?
What do you mean?
So you just tweeted at me the lineup for the next 2 shows of Saturday Night Live.
That's right. SNL's back, everybody.
So what do you mean that these shows are geared toward? This show is geared toward me. What's that supposed to mean?
That March 1st show
who's the host?
Connor Happer special.
Why is that the Connor Happer special?
You love Shane Gillis.
I do like Shane Gillis.
You're always talking about how funny
I love Shane Gillis
and how wronged he was from being fired.
Never have said
SNL.
that in my life. Don't have an opinion on it whatsoever. Why else would I like this show?
Tate McRae's the musical guest.
That's Matt. Matt was talking about her like,
Am I getting you, Matt, and Alyssa confused?
I mean, I like her.
Alyssa's always talking about Tate McRae.
She is, and Matt is. That's Matt. I just don't want anybody out there thinking like, oh, the show's for Connor. He must be like, he must really like Tate McRae. Like, I don't want to be the guy who's like, that guy really likes Tate McRae. That's not
fair.
me. That's not me, Josh.
Matt,
not horny.
Matt saw the girl in a hockey jersey. Oh, yeah.
I know. Maymon says, are Connor and Shane sitting in a tree? There's only like a handful of people I'd really go to bat for in pop culture right now. One of them is obviously Ryan Gosling.
That's your guy.
I would stand up for him. I'm not ashamed about my love for him.
Nor should you be.
Josh Allen. Josh Allen's fiance.
MVP.
The list is pretty short. I don't go to bat for many.
Yeah.
I don't have many guys.
If somebody comes and goes, you're fine with that.
Exactly. So I'm Shane Gillis. He's good. I wouldn't be brokenhearted if he got canceled. But he seems uncancelable, kind of. He just feels like he says cancelable things all the time. And
America tried at one point.
Yep. All right. Just so we just had to clear that up real quick.
Good to clear the air.
Back after this on 1620 The Zone. right, welcome back. We're the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Josh, the college football playoff.
CFP.
What are the sources saying about a playoff change?
They're saying a lot. They're saying so much that this is what happens. I see a story come up, my brain just shuts off. I'm like, okay, you'll tell me the new format in August.
So maybe that's a part of the Jedi mind trick to get you to believe that change is good.
Well, I just can't follow like the ebbs. Like today it's a 12-team playoff. Tomorrow it's a 16-teamer. Then the next day it's a 14-team. Like I can't keep up with the day-to-day gossip of this. It's not interesting.
It's a great point, Josh. People forget that we've only had 1 year of a 12-team playoff.
That's right.
One year. One year.
One singular playoff.
One playoff. And many people have many opinions on many sides about what to do with this playoff.
How do we get more blowouts?
I don't know what their goal is. I genuinely don't. I do know.
Come on,
their main goal.
You know what their goal is.
Money.
That's right.
How do we make the most money?
No sport has 16 title contenders.
And how do we have no one who is interested in the greater good of the sport? The CFP conversations, according to Heather Dinich, unfolding across all leagues are twofold. Possible changes for the 2025 season, which would have to be unanimously agreed upon, and more significant changes for the 2026 season, which don't have to be unanimous. The Big Ten and the SEC are discussing both, with seeding at the top of the list as a potential quick fix for this fall if every other conference and Notre Dame agree to it. A popular suggestion to change the seedings for this fall has been to use the committee selection ranking for the seeding while still making room for the 5 highest ranked conference champions. In that model, the committee's top 4 teams would earn the top 4 seeds and the first round buys, regardless of if they were conference champions or not. That would also
seemed to be a bugaboo last year.
People were definitely angry at that. That would also open the door for Notre Dame, who is not available to win a conference title because they do not have a conference, as a potential top 4 seed, therefore a bye earner. Some do not see the bye as a positive, as all 4 teams that received a bye in the inaugural 12-team playoff lost their first game. Josh, I'm glad that we've made this definitive proclamation on it happened 4 times, right? It has to be the truth. All 4 bye teams lost. It must be horrible to have a bye.
That week off must be killer.
It's just crazy to me. Like, once again, like, how many years have we done this in baseball now? Where, like, the team who has to play in the wild card series, they go into the divisional round against a team who hasn't played at all. And I guess this is what, the 3rd or 4th year?
Yeah.
And yes, the wild card teams have had a lot of success. But if you ask every team, would you rather have the bye straight into the divisional round? Would you rather win your division, have your bye straight into the divisional round, or not? What are they saying 100% of the time?
Give me the bye.
Give me the bye. Every single time. They're not saying, no, thank you. I don't want the bye because the bye hurts me. The teams want to play less games in their path to winning national championships and World Series. And in football, I would assume that's even more of the case. But yet, we have made a sweeping proclamation from 1 year of experience in the 12-team playoff is that bye teams suck. Teams that win the conference titles are worthless. And they will lose. And so we're operating off of that. There has been many ideas on what to do with the actual size of the playoff. That would likely start in 2026, for the record. We're going to be at 12 again this year. And then whatever the next iteration is going to be 14 or 16. Many ideas out there. Sources in the SEC and the Big Ten have favored a certain number of automatic playoff spots for each league. We talked about that yesterday. But even within each league, there are varying options. Sources of the Big Ten seem more aligned with their desire for automatic qualifiers. a popular model floated publicly includes 4 guaranteed teams from each of the Big Ten and the SEC, 2 from the Big 12 and ACC, and 1 spot for the highest ranked Group of 5 champion and 1 at-large spot, which, of course, we referred to yesterday as the 4-4-2-2 1+1, Josh. We remember the 4-4-2-2 1+1. While guarantees have been debated publicly, the commissioners haven't yet brought the idea to table in person, and it's hardly the only option. First, they have to decide how many teams will be in the playoff in 26. And multiple sources have indicated for about a year that's still trending toward 14, at least now. One Big Ten source said, quote, "Oh, it's gonna go to 14.
Oh, my.
I would bank on that." That's what the Big Ten wants you to think. Another
really
Big Ten source said, "We've got to figure out a way to get to 14 or 16. We've got to get 4 automatics. We've got to get the Big 12 and ACC to join in. That's the goal."
That's the goal.
You don't actually have to at all.
Yeah.
I don't know why the urgency is so high to make it a 14 or 16 team playoff. Can anyone please explain that to me? Just forget about the money for a second.
Money, Connor, money. Follow the money.
Like, people, we as sports fans have spent our entire lives railing against rich owners and people who are just money grabbing at stuff. And yet these guys are telling you that that's what that's about. That's the only motivation for this happening whatsoever. And nobody has any care about the sport at large anymore.
That's right.
Everybody's looking out for themselves and everybody's trying to get the most money out of this. They're telling that to you to your face. And for whatever reason, people in the college football landscape are just like, yeah, I guess we'll go to 14 or 16. That's cool. Works for me. Do we really actually hate people who love money anymore? Or are we fake on this?
I mean, I guess it keeps different fan bases interested in the sport longer. But I mean, I feel like if you're interested in college football, you watch the college football playoff, even if your team isn't in it.
I don't know. It's clearly the motivation here is not about the interest level in college football. It's like, can we put 3 more games up there to have a better TV product and get more money out of the CFP deal?
I'm trying to find an answer for you that is not just the money.
It's
hard, Connor.
Good luck, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
Competitive equity.
Yeah. I mean, as fun as it would be to watch Penn State, Illinois in a first-round playoff game, or Iowa State, Penn State, or something like that.
Then there's the section that Dinich wrote. What do other leagues think of the SEC Big Ten partnership?
They cannot love it.
Wouldn't imagine so. I personally don't even love it. And I'm a fan of a team that's in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It seems bad.
It does seem bad. So we remember last February, the Big Ten and SEC announced the formation of a joint advisory group of university presidents, chancellors, and athletic directors to address the significant challenges facing college athletics. It was a significant move that further illustrated the growing working relationship between Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti, between the 2 largest and wealthiest conferences. Since then, there is a sense of growing acceptance of the separation of those 2 leagues from the others and less pushback surrounding the idea of automatic qualifiers as access trumps everything. Some of it is simply because other leagues realize they don't have much, if any, leverage, while there is also a general concession that this is the new reality. The Big Ten and the SEC are leading the way. Didn't take long, Josh. It took 1 year. How did the Big Ten and the SEC like Jedi mind trick everybody into just saying that they're the biggest and the best? And now everybody agrees with it. They're like, all right, you guys lead us home.
You guys got this.
It's odd.
I mean, that's a fair question.
It's odd.
Really wasn't a lot of pushback. I mean, what would the Big 12 have to like say other than like, hey, we matter too?
Yeah, because if the SEC
case,
and the Big
guess?
Ten are working together, there's no way that you could beat them with any combination of anything else. You know what I mean? Like that's basically what has happened here. And that's what the Big Ten and the SEC knew at the time. Now, the question is, the Big Ten and the SEC are they going to actually work together, or are they just combining their power and still sort of working separately? That is TBD. While everyone is thrilled with the separation, the Power Four leagues are still tied together because of legislative strategy, governance, and the NCAA settlement has kept them intertwined and communicating regularly. The bond has lessened the fear of many administrators in the league that the Big Ten and the SEC are going to break away from the NCAA, at least for now. As was the case in Nashville in October when the Big Ten and SEC last met, attorneys for both leagues will be present as they want to be very careful to avoid anything that could be construed as collusion.
Okay.
Good luck. Good luck.
And if you're
this is all happening in front of our faces, and
publicly.
nobody seems to care. Nobody seems to care.
They've got
nobody can do anything about it. Maybe that's it.
The Big Ten and the SEC have these other conferences in a situation where, gosh, it's probably best if the ACC and Big 12 tried to say, you want to leave the NCAA, then go. You think you're bigger than the NCAA, then go. But gosh, you're terrified of the fallout from that, so you don't do that.
Well, I mean, it'd be an interesting bluff to hear from the non-Big Ten SEC conferences, because I don't think the Big Ten and the SEC actually want to do that.
I wouldn't. I think they may think that's what they want.
And they can make their own championship, right?
But then no one would. Oh, you're not the real champion.
Yeah,
you didn't play a Big Ten or SEC team.
It's a doomsday scenario that kind of splits open the entire thing.
You don't want to prematurely hit that button, but I mean they've got to be feeling a little like, just get out of here, just go. You're too big for the sandbox.
Yeah. So very exciting stuff. We love the way college football is setting. I have no qualms about it whatsoever because I am good and I am in the Big Ten and I feel very safe and warm. It's like a guarantee on the ball.
So you're definitely not going to watch the college football playoff?
Oh no, I'm going to watch it.
Okay.
I'm going to watch it.
They got you.
No, I'm going to watch the games just like I always watch. Just like I watch the games every single year. I'll always watch. They know. They got me. But I will spend the rest of the 9 months of the year angry, confused, sad about how we ended up here. And try to stop everything from changing all the time. People forget, like I said, Josh, this iteration of the college football playoff has happened one time. One time.
That's enough to figure out a trend.
I got it. All right, we're back with the poll questions, and we'll tell you what to watch next on 1620 The Zone. Wow, Theo says that Patrick Mahomes got a haircut.
He sure did.
I haven't seen this, Josh. What's it look like?
It is shorter. Significantly shorter.
Really?
Many people on many sides.
Is this on IG? Where is this?
Just Google Mahomes on Twitter.
Google Mahomes on Twitter.
Okay, that was pretty old and not techie of me. Mahomes in the search bar.
Very not techie.
On Twitter. Our man.
Okay.
He has an adult haircut.
Yeah, he got rid of the rat tail.
Yeah. Many people making the joke.
So what happens with Dylan?
Yeah.
What happens with Dylan?
People want to know. They say he's running to the barber as we speak. He'll have to maybe miss a high school basketball game this afternoon.
I'm going to the barber this afternoon, Josh.
Oh, hello.
Oh, I haven't had a nice beard trim in a while.
You've earned it.
In a while. To the polls at Happer Show. Yesterday afternoon, who won the SNL draft? Now, I don't think this was the official.
I don't think it was either.
But I guess we ran our own on at Happer Show.
Sometimes USC doesn't run. I should have known they were going to run a poll question like that.
You should have.
I should have.
I'm going to vote for myself.
Sure. I voted for you.
On the poll question posed on at Happer Show, I'm still running in third place, but it's close.
Mm-hmm.
John's winning with 33% of the vote. Josh, 29. Connor, 28 or 27. And Nick, 11.
Everybody did a much better job than I thought they would.
A lot of people had a list.
Mm-hmm.
Went down.
Oh, yeah.
Many people agreed who got last.
Interesting.
That's just what the people were saying.
That's what do the people know?
Our polls today. Are you surprised that Josh uses Control V and not right click? I am. I was surprised to learn that. And it turns out that I was right in my surprise.
The correct answer is yes.
74% said they were not surprised by this.
Thank you, audience. I appreciate your faith in
Very
me.
cool, very technologically savvy. Josh Johnson.
I know all the shortcuts.
Does Warren Buffett fly Southwest?
He couldn't possibly.
No.
Most voted on poll question of the day, though.
80% say no. Figured that would be more, actually. And then also, do you think John Cook knows about Control V? Yes. I think he knows about it.
I don't think he uses it.
I don't think he uses it.
Yeah.
I think he knows about it. I think someone told him a long time ago, hey, you can just do Control V for paste. And he's like, why would I do that when I could just right click it and press paste?
Do you think Harper sits him down for an hour a week? And
They should do a TikTok about it.
Yeah.
I do think he knows about it.
Okay.
I don't think he uses it. 54% say no. John Cook does not know about Control V. Those are the polls, Josh. What are we watching tonight?
Well, we're not watching much. The NBA and NHL are on a break. Women's basketball has just 6 games in D1 today. So we turn to the men's game where they're playing Villanova at UConn.
Hell yeah.
At 5:30 on FS1.
That's good.
Yeah. Number 7, Texas A&M against number 21, Mississippi State. 6 o'clock on SEC Network. You'll notice none of these games are on ESPN because that golf simulator league is on tonight for some reason.
Oh, dear God.
When is that over, by the way?
I hope now.
Kill that thing.
Well, I mean, it has they play in inside.
It could be year round. Number 13, Purdue at number 14, Michigan State, 6 o'clock on Peacock.
Let's see what the best Ken Palm game of the day is.
It's got to be that one, right? Maybe A&M, Mississippi State.
It was that one, Purdue and Michigan State.
Okay. Illinois is at number 11, Wisconsin at 7:30 on FS1. I wrote next to it, is Illinois dead? We'll find out.
Maybe.
And then the very dangerous, all of a sudden, Seton Hall team is at number 16, Marquette, 8 o'clock on CBS Sports Network.
Okay.
I foresee no problems for Marquette tonight.
Hey, you never know.
Yesterday we had a USA basketball documentary. Today we have a different USA basketball documentary. I don't know why. It's Court of Gold on Netflix. It provides an in-depth look at the medal contenders during the 2024 Olympic Games in Paris. Connor, do you remember what happened there?
At the Paris Olympics?
That's right.
Well, it was less than 6 months ago. So, yes.
Okay.
I do remember
You do remember. Steph Curry hit that shot.
Yes.
Jason Tatum didn't play.
Although I was
at all.
talking to Duncan McGuire one day.
Brag.
And live on Jay's Live.
Oh.
And I tried to ask him about the boat and how everybody was on the boat. And I was like, hey, so you were on that boat, right? With everybody? He was like, no, I was not on the boat. And I felt really bad for asking him because he seemed really broken up about the fact that he wasn't on the boat.
It looked fun
with LeBron.
Yeah.
And waving to all the people on the river.
Yeah.
So that's my Paris Olympics story.
Good story. And finally, on Paramount Plus, it is Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Oh my God.
It's a rough night out there in them streets. The team reunites to face a new formidable foe, Shadow, a mysterious hedgehog with powers unlike anything they've ever seen.
Josh,
Connor,
your work is appreciated.
I had to dig deep.
One question, a clarifier from Plaquette. So
sure.
More people think John Cook is more tech savvy than Josh.
Oh, yeah, that is what those poll results say.
No, they were saying that they weren't surprised at the fact that you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They thought that you would use Control V.
Okay.
I think that's right.
I hit them as a Control V guy.
Yes.
Okay.
But you did not hit me as a Control V guy.
That's fine. That's fair. It's a new trick in my bag, as I said.
All right. Thank you. That is the show. If you missed anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. Crossovers coming up next.